thought it was about the dogs. Nah, it's about power. Yeah. Put up to the specialty, sunrise on the ground. Dogs in the groomer tents, whispers all around. Catalog smiles with the tension in the air. Every handshake got a hidden little snare. Bored in the back room, running quiet little schemes. Bylaws in the pocket like a stack of poker dreams. Slayers for the breed, but they guarding their throne. If you question anything, they coming for your bone. Grievance in the envelope, certified mail. Club justice system, but the day.
Okay. So, welcome to my show. Oh my God, I'm so excited to have you here. What I'm not going to do is introduce you and do the whole normal introduction thing, because the thing is your name speaks for itself. If anybody watching doesn't know who you are, then they can go study. Because
they can use Google like everybody else, right? And figure it out.
Right, because I'm not here to hold hands and all that shit. You are a world top competitor. You're amazing. And I'm not going to sit here and go through. We'd be here for hours to go through all of that. So, in my opinion, you have lived 10 different lives in one body, right? You're a drummer, trainer, teacher, coach, performer, mountain biker.
Wow, you're getting it all.
Right. I mean, you've even done whitewater rafting. You've done it all. Like, you like extreme sports. You do everything, right? So, you're even a man who you eat dinner at 4:00, feed your dogs,
4:00.
Right, and then you go play drums for 4 hours to calm your mind, right? I mean,
well, I play to practice, right. You know, like but it does help my mind a little bit. You know, any type of studying for me really helps my mind, right. Even if it wasn't music stuff, reading and that, you know, any type of research, but. Yeah, I live a very regimented life, believe it or not. Which kind of contrary to what people think or believe of me. It's just incredibly regimented.
Right. So, you're also a man who believes that even after your dogs are done training, after your dogs retire, they live with you, they stay with you for life, right?
100%. Yep. You
don't get rid of them. You don't trade them off. You don't sell them to anybody. You have cats that are on death's door. You still go out and feed them. You still take care of them. Every animal lives with you forever, right?
Yeah, you should come. You should visit my front porch at about 9:30 at night after I put out the goat milk from our goats for all the animals, and it's a little petting zoo out there with the cats and the armadillos and the possums all drinking and sharing the milk, and you know. The big owl waiting to maybe go get a sip of it if it can.
Right. So in that retrospect, right? So loyalty for you is non-negotiable. So you're loyal to all your animals. And that crosses over into your training too, right? So because you've told, like, you have a clip, a reel, and I'd kind of like to play it if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay. Because I love this clip.
Fix this. What are you going to do with the dog? That's my first question. If I can't fix this, or if we can't fix this, where are we at?
What do they typically say?
That's a hard question, man. They all like, holy shit, we didn't know you were going to lead with that. And they have to think about it. There have been people saying, we're going to get rid of them. The people that say, we can't keep them if it can't be fixed, I go, then you should not pay me one more dime and go get rid of them right now. I don't know where. Don't ask me. I'm not a shelter. I'm not a rescue. I'm not the Humane Society. Your decision, your dog. You just told me.
Because it shows that they're not really committed.
They're not committed. They already told me they're not. Dude, I don't care what dog. Would you ever get rid of any animal on your property?
Never, ever.
Never, dude. A lot of people say, Dave, after your dogs are retired, what do? They stay with me and they fucking die with me. I fucking have feral cats on their deathbed I take care of nightly. If you are an animal on my property, you die. I don't give a fuck who you are, what you are. That's what I believe. So when somebody says, oh, this dumb little problem, which really for me and you and half the world can be fixed pretty quickly. Oh, you're that quick to give up on them? Bye-bye. Go down the road. You're now out of my mind. Sorry, dog. Sucks to be you. I can't save the fix.
Okay, so, oops, shit. Damn it. Sorry.
I'm back. We're good. We're good. I'm here.
I moved the wrong line. But okay, sorry about that. But I love that clip. That clip made me go, I've got to do an interview with Dave because I feel the same way. I've said that about, I don't know to how many people, because you, first of all, you can't save them all. You are absolutely correct. You can't save them all. And if somebody literally comes to me and say, well, if you can't fix this, well, I can train your dog. And I've said this 100 times. I can train your dog to ski on its head. But if you take the damn dog home and you don't continue to do the same training, well,
right.
It's not going to ski on it. I'm just using that as,
No, I mean, all that type of stuff, it's literally, and this is what I don't, the world doesn't understand, and they really don't want to believe it. Because if we're talking about reactivity with dogs, they want it to be this big mystical unicorn, like, oh my God, what is it? We have to figure out the psyche. It's not like I get bored talking about that stuff, but the reality is, it's a management situation. Right. It's 100% management. And the other reality about that is not everybody's a good manager, right? They're just not. Right. Or maybe they think that we're just going to take our magic wand and go there, it's fixed. Right. That's not it. I'm an incredibly good manager with animals. So I can make a reactive dog appear to not be reactive. It's still reactive, but it's with me, and it understands the boundaries and the coping behaviors, and it trusts me, and I'm giving it leadership. But that whole thing, that whole interview. I'm not going to lie. I had a few drinks before that interview. I had just got done. I just had got done trialing my dog here, and after the trial, I did really well. My friends and I were having a couple beers. And I'm like, oh, crap, I have a podcast interview in an hour. We need to wrap this up. So I was a little bit, I don't want to say unhinged, but I was very talky, I guess would be the word.
Right. But I love that because that, to me, that's what kind of what I wanted to do, right? I wanted to not do the whole accomplishments, the public version of you, the same old normal questions. And that's, we didn't talk very much, right? Like we sent a couple emails. I don't know you. We've never sat down and had a conversation. This is our first time meeting. So like the stuff that I know about you is the stuff I research, and anybody can research you. And so I wanted to get to know the man behind all that. And so when the questions I have for you are just like off the wall questions. I want to do a little dog talk because, people are like, oh, it's Dave Kroyer. I want to hear what he's got to say, but I want you to be loose. I want this to be a dog talk conversation. Not
sure, absolutely.
Bullshit that you hear that everybody gets to hear. You know what I mean? So that was what my idea of the conversation is, because everybody asks, oh, well, what do you think of the shock collar? What do you think of the prong collar? Who the fuck cares?
Right.
Honestly, right? So I want to know, like, what do people misunderstand about you the most? Like what?
Well, before we go any further, I don't want to totally take a left-hand turn here with the questions you wanted, but when that clip came out and it was posted all over the internet, it brought up a conversation on probably my Facebook page where somebody asked me, and this is a topic I've been wanting to talk publicly about washing dogs out that you get for performance that can't perform, that can't do the work. And somebody said, well, Dave, what do you do with dogs that if you get for performance, not my pet dogs, all my pet dogs have come from rescues or they're strays and ferals that I get and stuff like that. But my performance dogs are specifically bred for performance. And they said, well, what if you get a puppy and at 6 months, 9 months old, you can see that it's not going to be able to work to the level you need.
Right.
And I do wash them. And I know that that's a big thing, you know, and they kind of were leaning towards, well, maybe you're not a good person for doing that. And there's a reality behind that because, first of all, when I quote wash a dog that I don't feel is fit for what I want for performance work, and that's very tricky to go to the highest level.
Right.
It's a very low percent of dogs, right? And, you know, we're talking especially, you know, it's got to be a working line dog. It has to be healthy. It has to be blah, blah, blah. But they either, one, they go back to the breeder because that's in my contract.
Right.
That's an easy one, right?
Right.
The other thing is the breeder may say, well, can you find a home? And if I can, it's going to go into a pet home that I feel is good for the dog because that's going to be a better life than staying with me.
Right.
Because if you're not my house pet, and we have a lot of dogs here, we can't collect dogs. And some people, you know, they'll talk about washing a dog. Oh, you didn't give the dog a chance. You didn't, you know, blah, blah, blah. First of all, I'm very good at evaluating dogs, right? I know what I'm looking at. Right. And it's not also fair to the dog. I'm getting that dog as a high level performance dog. If it can't do that, it should go to a home that's going to be better because I won't be able to give it to, I've already have pet dogs, right? You can only have so many pet dogs that drink beer with you and sleep with you in the bed and on the couch and, you know, are not trained and stuff like that. I just wanted to make that clear to people. I will wash a performance dog if it is not healthy, x-rays or something like that, because our dogs have to be, you know, going to world championships, they have to have good hips and elbows and they have to be certified. So if a dog does not have good hip and elbows, it can't be a performance dog for me. Plus, I wouldn't make a dog with bad hips and elbows go through the strenuous activity of the work. So I just wanted to put that out there for anybody that does ask and is wondering. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that hate me for saying, yeah, I do wash performance dogs if they're not capable of doing the work, just as, you know, whether it's in the military or police or law enforcement or whatever, it's a working dog. It is a tool for me, right? And if that tool doesn't work, then I have to find a better home for it. But if that dog competed with me for life and made world championships and all that, of course, they're staying with me until they die.
Right. Well, and that makes sense. I mean, it'd be like getting, you know, a search and rescue dog that can't search, you know, that has no ability to sniff anything out. You know, I mean, but see, this is the problem that we have today is that people don't have an understanding of these traits that the dogs were bred for. Right. And I mean, it'd be like getting a CNI dog and the dog isn't going to stop at the curb or let the person know that, hey, you can't walk forward. And then, you know, well, why did you get rid of the dog?
Right. Or a CNI dog that's deaf or blind, right? Like, okay, well.
Right. You know, or, you know, it's not going to go turn the light on for the person that needs the service dog, you know, that's going to go, you know, grab something for him or whatever. I mean, like, people don't understand. I think the world has lost. And I mean, as a breeder and stuff like that, people want, John Q. Public want breeders to be God. They want the perfect dog. They want the trainer to be perfect. They want the breeder to be perfect. And they want the dog for $500.
Right.
And you kind of go, what the hell? You know, Mother Nature's a fickle bitch. We can do all the things that we want. We can put the lineup together. We can search, you know, the perfect pedigree. We can do all the health testing and all this stuff. And we can hope that this litter is going to produce the best litter. But Mother Nature's still going to throw her monkey wrench in there.
100%. Yeah, that's incredibly true. Even, and do you breed?
I used to breed Dobermans. and I would do it for performance and for show and all that stuff. But people, their expectations on a dog today,
right,
is so incredibly wild that you can't make everyone happy. And it is, I mean, I had somebody literally call me, and I do basic obedience and all that stuff, and I make sure that their house broke as much as possible. All you have to do is take the dog home and show it the damn door. And I literally had somebody call me and say, the dog pissed on the floor. And I said, well, did you take it out? Well, I thought you said it was housebroke. Well, it's still
right, right, yeah.
I mean, it knows where to go out here at my house, but you still have to show it the door at your house. It doesn't know the door at your house. I mean, I train with a bell and all kinds of stuff, but you still have to show the damn dog where to go. I mean,
there's a certain amount of common sense that comes with owning an animal, and unfortunately, I think that's lacking in today's society as far as dogs go. And when we're talking about breeding, you know, I've bred myself a few times.
Right.
Years ago, I bred one of my males that was competed at 3 world championships, won many national events, and I imported a female from the Czech Republic. Awesome, incredible dog. And I titled it to IGP1, and I bred them, and I produced crap. Right. It was, like, I was embarrassed about them. They were not good pet dogs, and they were not good working dogs.
Right.
And I gave it one more shot to another female who was a very high-ranked female in IGP to one of my males, and another horrible breeding. So I said, you know what? I'm done with this, because my friends that I know in Europe that are incredible breeders, one, they're much older.
Right.
They've been doing it for
much
50
longer.
years.
Right.
And a thing, you know, when people buy puppies or they're looking at dogs, they'll say, well, the breeder says the mother's a champion or the father. Well, what the fuck does that mean? A champion of what, right? If we're talking about IGP or French Ring or Mondial Ring, believe me, I'll know the name.
Right.
It doesn't matter if it's, you know, I can go back 40 years and tell you the champions of all major trials. Or is it a champion, a show dog champion, which means nothing, right?
Right. Especially in
but it's tricky because it's a big game, and there, like you said, Mother Nature is not really on our side when it comes to that. It's a total gamble, and you can breed the best to the best and still have crap. And the best, like a lot of the males that are really good in the generations, the pedigrees and bloodlines of German Shepherds, the grandparents or the parents may have 100, 200 breedings under their belt.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of data, lot of data, right? I remember my last dog, Anton von Fuchstein, when we were at a world championship, he had 5 or 6 half brothers and sisters in that world championship.
Right.
That father, Kinski, was an incredibly producing dog. He was bred so many times, and there was a lot of progeny that we could see. Not just, the mother or father was a champion. So that's a whole thing about breeding, and I'm sure this whole topic was not on your outline, but
it's okay.
We're there, so whatever.
You have no problem going squirrel, because that's how I do it. I just kind of go, well, you know, let it go where it goes. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, no, that's the thing, is people don't understand when there is a fluke. Like when you have a beautiful dog that will, even in the show world, we see the flavor of the month, and it's the fluke dog that is absolutely gorgeous. The dog's been shown till its feet fell off, and it's got all these titles and all this stuff. And then you throw it with, 6 bitches, and it can't produce itself.
Right.
If it can't reproduce itself, it's a fluke dog. And people don't understand what that means, but yet they keep breeding it, and it produces all of these litters, but there isn't a damn dog that looks like it. And that's a dog that can't reproduce itself. So people but John Q. Public doesn't understand how this works. They just see a dog that's produced 200 litters. And it's like, okay, but do you see a dog out there that even resembles it? Do you see
Are there any progeny doing anything, right?
Yeah, and that's what we say, and that's the funny thing is like all these people don't understand terminology and all this stuff. Do you see lay back a shoulder? Do you see, croup, brisket, all these things, and people are just like, what the hell does that mean? But yet they got prefixes, they got all these kennels, and they're making $1 million. Nobody is making a fucking $1 million.
Right.
And all these people are just making, when I look at all these YouTubes, that's why I started doing reaction videos, because I'm looking at all these YouTube videos and these TikToks and all this shit. And I'm like, what are you doing? But yet they've got the best dogs and they're going to sell you the best of everything. And these are their training experiences and all that. And I'm like, what are you like? Where are your title? Where are your accolades? I don't even know who you are.
Right. It's amazing nowadays.
And I'm just like, but yet, well, I'm the person that like, who are you? Like you're just making fun of us and blah, 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 and all this stuff. And I'm like, but I can literally read the body language of your dog and tell you what your dog is doing, you know? So that's the thing is like, I was like, okay, so I'm going to start having people on that actually have world titles that can like this is a real person versus this TikTok bullshit. But people see this stuff. They see these, military
Oh, that's crazy. They all have their tactical gear on, and the dogs have their tactical gear on, and it's just a whole staged choreographed thing. And I'm just looking at it going, oh my God, this is incredible.
Right. Like, my whole family's military, police, all this stuff. And I'm like, there isn't a military person in this world that's going to walk around with their Malinois between their legs to go do this, this, and this. That isn't going to happen. That literally doesn't happen. Like, I can tell you it doesn't happen.
Right. Here's a little secret that I one of my friends probably down at the DOD at Lackland Air Force Base are going to give me shit for saying this, but it's the truth because I am a consultant for the 341st Dog Training Squadron, which is the dog, where all the military dogs come from, the DOD dogs in the United States. But DOD dogs, they're not really trained for patrol. They're trained for detection. They do a little bite work certification, but that's not what those dogs are for. Right. Now, the ones that are for patrol or apprehension, we're talking more about dev group, SEALs, Rangers, stuff like that. Right. And they actually fall under a different jurisdiction than the DOD. It's a totally different thing. Right. Like your typical military dog, even if an MP has it, it's not going to be some big, massive, strong dog because they don't even want that. They want nice social dogs because your average MP, their age is what? 22, 23? Right. Somewhere in there. They're not going to give a 22, 23-year-old some beast dog. Right. But that's a funny thing about the military dog. Yeah, we see all the cool videos of them, hotlining out of Blackhawks and all that stuff. And yeah, that stuff is trained, but that's SEALs, Rangers, Dev Crews, Special Ops, and stuff like that. Totally different thing. And that's not the DOD. DOD is very different. Right. And then the sad part is what you see in some of this, and I don't know if you see it or what your thoughts on it or whatever, but you see some of these people that see these stupid TikTok videos, and this is the part that hurts me, right? Because I have way more love, and this is controversial. I have way more love for animals, all animals, versus my empathy for people, right? So 100%. So when I see these videos being put up, these TikToks, so you see Malinois having to, walk tight ropes and all this shit, and people see this and they want that dog that someone took 2 or 3 years to get their dog to do those damn things. Then they go and buy a Malinois that they can't truly handle because they don't understand that it takes 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to train a Malinois to do those type of things.
And, you know, they have to be worked from the moment they wake up to the moment they go to bed. You know that, right?
Yep.
And these are dogs that don't fit in most John Q. Public's home, right? I mean, most John Q. Public that work 8 hours a day, that go and party and do all this shit, shouldn't own a Malinois, right? I mean,
100%. Like I stand my ground on that, even to the point where, you know, I've seen this all coming because I've been part of the industry for almost going on 30 years now. But I can look back 25 years ago. You didn't even see a Malinois. You didn't. If you saw one, you're like, oh my God, that's a unicorn, you know.
Yeah.
And now you see them every day, to the point where if I get a call here for somebody with a Malinois they bought for a pet or a companion dog, and they're having some big troubles with it, I won't even take them as a client.
right.
Because I'm not going to, I've done it before where I'm looking at this beautiful Malinois, you know, and I may go, wow, it's really good nerves and it's has a lot of good character for work and stuff like that. And all they want me to do is suppress the behavior.
Right.
And there's no way I'm there's nothing I can do to keep suppressing it. Not only there's nothing I can do, you know, what am I going to just keep correcting it to make it be, quote, calm? That's not possible. That's not what this dog needs. So, and I don't like putting the dogs in those situations. So if somebody calls with a dog like that, I refer them down the line, and I will not work with it because it bothers me a lot to go, wow, what a beautiful animal. You know, how it's so incredibly tough for us to find dogs that are good for work. Here you have one, and all you want to do is keep suppressing it.
Right. See,
try to make the whole fit in the square.
Right.
I'm not going to do that.
Right. And see, and that's the shit that I see too. So I watch this shit. I look at this is the stuff that I react to, and I look at all this shit, and then I think, that person, that breeder should have never sold you that dog. That breeder should have sold you and said, your life is not conducive to that type of breed, right? So you need to go, I don't know, get a house plant, a goldfish, I don't know, but you don't deserve this type of breed because you, first of all, don't understand the breed, and you don't have a lifestyle for that breed because people don't understand their own limitations. They just see something on TikTok, they want it. And then what happens is the dog either gets abused to try to make it get 2 weeks what this person took 2 years to train, right? And then when it can't be that way, or the dog ends up becoming aggressive or whatever because they can't manage what this dog actually is, then it ends up in rescue. Look how many rescues now have Malinois, Shepherds, Dobermans, Corsos, all these breeds that people can't manage. And that's what's happening, right? Yeah. So we've all lost the thought of what a pet actually is. Because I get dogs because I love dogs. I love having the dog. I love having the companionship, the loyalty, the love, everything of owning a dog. And now we want the TikTok famous, right? And that's what it is. So I wanted to talk to somebody that's actually in the business. You train dogs. You have courses to help people understand. And that's the thing too, is all these, I know that you do board and trains. I'm against board and train. And the reason is why did you get a dog? Did you not get a dog to bond with the dog, to train with the dog? Because someone like you can train the dog. Someone like me can take your dog and train the dog. But the problem is what are you going to do when the dog gets home? These people want their dog to be perfect after it goes home, but they're not continuing the training. I've talked to several people about this, and they're like, no, they should be able to take the dog to a board and train, get the dog, train it, and then the dog be perfect. What are your thoughts on that?
This is a great question because no one's really ever talked to me about it or asked me about it. And it leads to a whole nother topic that we can talk about. But the first thing is we actually do not do board and trains anymore.
Okay.
We've not for a few years. And, you know, part of it is because I don't have employees and I'm getting old, and I've had a lot of orthopedic issues from the extreme sports that I do. So anybody that trains a lot of board and trains understands it's physical, right? Yeah. It's physical because you got to take care of the dogs 24/7. Years ago, when I first got into dog training, I worked at a facility where I would maybe work 20 board and trains a day, a morning, right? And we still did that when I opened up here on my own. You know, I needed a paycheck. I needed to do blah, blah, blah. But when I look back at this whole dog training industry, I look back at it right now and I go, what a crock of shit.
Right.
Because, you know, like the board and train, on occasion it can work. Or if I had a client that was going out of town and they did privates with me, I'm like, just leave your dog with me. It knows me and I can work it and stuff like that. But I go, it's so interesting because it's a crock of shit. I almost question how I feel about my work in this industry. I go, it's common sense. Really? That's what I'm doing now? I'm teaching common sense?
Right.
Like, and I always say a dog person is a true dog person is somebody who can coincide with an untrained dog.
Right.
Because my first animals as an adult, they were not really trained. I had 2 German Shepherds, lived in a studio apartment in downtown St. Louis. They probably knew sit and stuff like that. But I coincided with them in a very lovely apartment that was immaculate kept. And, you know, it was because I'm a dog person. I just know how to interact with the dogs versus, oh, they have to know, sit down, stay, blah, 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 blah. You know, it's like my beagle, who's not really trained, you know, like half the time I got to keep her on leash, you know, because it's a beagle. She does a lot of tricks for movies and stuff like that. Right. And for still commercials, but she's not really trained. Right. And to be honest, my competition German Shepherd right now, he's very well trained for his performance work, but off the field, oh, he's a lunatic. Your average person could not spend 1 hour with him.
Right.
He would nip at their clothing. And this is a 6-year-old dog, right? Especially if he's not been worked for a while, he'll start nipping at clothing just out of prey frustration. Right. He slams the front door of my office open every time he comes in with his feet. I have a hole in my wall, and people would be like, "Well, oh my God, that could never happen at my house." I go, "That's because you're not a dog person." And his job is a high-level performance dog, and that sometimes comes with a high-level performance dog.
Right. Right.
So I often look back at this whole thing about dog training and go, I don't know how I feel. You know, when I first got into it, I was like, oh, I'm going to help everybody. I want to save the world. I'm going to save all the dogs. Now, fucking 25, 30 years later, I look back and go, wow, I'm just teaching people common sense.
Right.
And unfortunately, we live in a world now that needs a little bit of common sense. But I struggle with it in my head because I'm like, I don't feel good about it anymore. I don't feel good about being a dog trainer because the stuff, you're paying me a lot of money. Like you said, the woman that you sold the puppy to and it had it pottied in the house. Right. It's like, you're paying me a fucking lot of money to tell you, yeah, take the puppy out every 3 hours. Yeah, right. Really? I'm like, well, I don't know, man. Is that what I was put on this earth to do? Like, to go, hey, stupid, fucking think for a moment.
And that's what I told her. I said, do you want me to come clean it up? Take the fucking dog outside. If it gets up from taking a nap, take it outside. If it's eating 15 minutes later, take it outside. I mean, this isn't fucking rocket scientist. You know, I mean, right. You don't have to like, have you ever owned a fucking dog before? Like, this is, you know, but see, I don't sugarcoat shit. Like, I'm just a very blunt person, but I grew up in that generation. Like, we just don't sit there and go, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, okay, so this is how no, I don't do that. I don't do that. I'm just like, take the fucking dog out. What do you want me to do? Drive to your fucking house and clean up the piss? Clean up the piss and take the dog outside. This isn't like, I don't need
I thought you sold me a potty trained puppy. Oh, Jesus, fuck.
Right. But that's kind of how I feel about board and train too. Like I tell people all the time, like, why did you buy the dog? Like, did you want a perfect dog? Like, you're supposed to bond with the dog. You're missing bonding stages by taking and dropping it off. Like, the whole idea is to bond with your dog. Like, as a trainer, I don't have the perfect dogs either, but I live with my dog. And that's a lot of things that people say to me too, is like, oh my God, you let your dogs on the furniture? Well, yeah, they live in my fucking house. Like, what?
Right.
Like, I don't understand that. You let your dog on the furniture? Oh, that's going to cause dominance. Really? They're 6 and 8 years old. They're laying on my
Yeah. So about the board and train, I'm not I think there's a time and place for it, like I said, but I'm not a huge fan of it because I've realized that once again, it's management and relationship, right? Mm-hmm. That's what it is. Now, yeah, I can train the behaviors, but your dog then starts to have a relationship with it would be like, I've said this a few times joking to people. Well, if you're having troubles, maybe in a relationship with your spouse, whether it's just a boyfriend, girlfriend, or wife or whatever, I go, let's say you're in marriage counseling, right, and you're having problems. I'll say wife just because I'm a male. It could be reverse if you were telling the story. Right. Like, okay, you're having problems with your wife. Yeah, send her to me. I'll fix it. Right. Believe me, I'll fix it.
Right.
But you're still going to have the problem.
Right. Well, and this is what I say too. So I said this on a live the other day because I was watching a board and train, and I said, so at the board and train, if you're not getting videos, if you're not getting taught how to do it, because like, and you can disagree with me if you don't believe this is true, but if I don't know what you're doing if you're not telling me. And the thing is I'm not training the dog. Like, I can go and train a dog. I get there, people are like, oh my God, can you move in for like 4 months? And I'm like, no. I go there, I have an assertive personality, I'm very dominant. Yep. So I can take the leash from the dog that's acting up from this fucking person, and the dog starts acting normal, right? And they're like, how'd you do that? Well, I have the personality to do that. Yep. That dog right away in a split second is going to go, oh, this person's going to make me fucking do it. I'm not going to, there's no question, right? Dogs can sense that, that. It's just how it works, right? But the thing is, I'm training the person to train that dog.
100%.
As trainers, you all know that. We're training that person how to train that. As soon as I give that leash back to that person, if they continue to act that way, or if it's not cohesive in that house and each person is following the same rules, if that person says, I'm not letting the dog, and they're following the rules, not letting the dog jump on the person, but the husband allows it or the kids allow it, well, then there's no consistency within the house, and the dog ain't gonna fucking listen anyway.
Right. And, the whole industry, I kind of tend to try to divide it into two different things, right? The part of the industry, and it's a major part, I'd say it's 90 to 95% of the industry, we are fixing problems.
Right.
Oh, we're not training anything.
Right.
We're fixing problems, right? The other side would be and I just wrote some notes down here, would be we're creating behaviors or we're creating art. And really, in my head, that's what I love to do. Give me a performance dog. Let me show you how to create some art with it, right?
Right.
Over the years, this whole thing of, oh God, here's another call, fix my blah, 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 blah. Help me, my dog's doing blah, blah. So essentially, all we're trying to do is stop behavior. We're not creating behavior, we're stopping behavior, right? Like, yeah. And I'm just like, well, stopping behavior can be as simple as, well, hey, my dog's eating poop in the yard. Well, pick the poop up.
Right.
Did you ever try that one? Or, well, sometimes I'm not out there. Well, be out there. Did you ever common sense stuff, right? Or, so I have these own struggles in my head myself as I do this for a living. And I sit there and sometimes I go, Dave, what a crock of shit living, or, like that. All you do is really teach common sense. It's a very small percentage of people that I go, hey, let's make some art here. Let's make a beautiful performance animal and that whole thing. And I'd like to show you how to train healing, how to train a stand, how to train a retrieve. But most of the people, once again, I go to seminars around the world, whether it's my website and our chats and our stuff that we do. It's, well, Dave, I trained my healing, but now help me fix it because the dog is forging.
Right.
Well, why the fuck did you train it to forge? Like it always comes back down to, well, can you help me fix this? Well, fuck, man. The idea behind training art is to, you may have a little bit of something that you don't like, but you want to create a really nice picture, not, well, I did it and now I got to fix it. Like, I hate being and then I've got to play detective and try to figure out, well, when did it fucking go wrong in the training? When did the bad thing manifest? When you were on a trajectory to do it right, one day your bad behavior manifested, and why did you not address it? Why did you let it go on for another fucking year?
Right.
Then we have to talk about matching law and how we can fix it. And most stuff can't be fixed because the number of reps that matching law it takes is insane to fix a pre-existing behavior. So I sit there sometimes to go, man, what a fucked up thing I do.
Right. So I know that you train dogs. I mean, obviously, your accolades speak for themselves, but you train other animals too, right? Or you train other animals?
Outside of, like, we have a small livestock farm here. I've trained goats to do nose work. All our feral cats were, I don't even want to say they're feral anymore because they're fucking mine, I won't say I own them because they don't even have names, right? But, I just Bob Bailey made a comment in his IQ Zoo video on YouTube talking about being patient with the chipmunks, right?
Right.
And a lot of these feral animals, it's a project of mine, right? It's like, wow, I saw a cat in the back that I've never saw before, way in the back of the property. Let me see, he looks kind of skinny. I probably shouldn't even mess with him. He's fine. Probably lived back there, in a hole forever. But I see if I can kind of quote, I won't say domesticate them, but if they can get friendly enough with me to maybe come to the porch, have a meal, have some milk, be part of our crazy pack of cats, chickens, roosters, goats that all just are fucking free floating around here. If you pull up to my parking lot, I always tell people, be aware, keep your dog on leash. There's signs on leash because I have chickens, cats, could be anywhere. If you keep your car door open, their cats are probably going to go in your car and look for treats and stuff. But yeah, I've trained, I still currently work with animal wranglers. Bobby Colorado is one of them in Austin that I work with. And if you don't know what a wrangler is, that's somebody who hires people either with the skills of working with alternate species or has access to other species of animals they can use for movies or TV commercials.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So sometimes Bobby will call me and say, Dave, they need a Malinois or Shepherd to do, like, it's for a thriller movie and they need it barking behind the fence, or it's a scene where the dog attacks somebody. And they need specific dogs with really good temperament, but can do the work, because for a movie, it's very stressful environment. Or just some easy still art campaign for a company where they need 2 of my chickens to do something stupid. And then, like, Bobby has a plethora of animals, anything from primates to reptiles to every bird you can think of. So sometimes it'll be, can you come and help me on set with one of these animals that we're going to be doing? And it's very interesting. That actually is very interesting work for me because you're doing very pure training, right? Like, very pure training. The animals know the clicker. They're very good at understanding indirect reward. They understand targeting, and that's stuff that I try to get people in dog training to understand, and for most people, just way over their head. And I'm just talking to like a room of people with like deer in headlights. But, for me, that stuff is fun to talk about.
Okay.
Talking about getting your dog to not bark at Mrs. Jones is, I don't give a fuck about that, right? Like, yeah, I know how to do it, but that's not interesting to me. So yeah, I work with, still do, and have worked with many different species of animals.
Nice, right. Well, I knew that. I mean, I watched a couple of your videos, as you can tell. Because I like to kind of deep dive into people and find out their, like, you're kind of like a plethora of people in one person. Like, you like to do a lot of different things. So I wanted to kind of just deep dive into like all the things that you like to do versus just dog training.
Right.
Because I'm like that too. Like I work with wolves. I Saki trained with horses. I love animals. So I think that was like a kindred spirit type of thing, So I was like, okay, I want to know more about that portion of you, because I seen that you had a bird on your head in a pool and all different things. And I was like, okay, so he's more than just, this guy that has all these accolades, phenomenal trainer, all this stuff. So I wanted to know more about that man, and I'm the same way. I need my alone time. I'm the person that, I can go for days and not talk to people, all that stuff, those things. And those are the things that fascinate me. So tell me more about those things that make you the person you are. Like, if there's something that people don't know about you that would surprise somebody.
Yeah, I've talked about it a few times on my on podcasts or interviews before. One thing is, in a lot of my interviews and podcasts, I'm very boisterous and loud, and even if I'm doing seminars. But what people don't realize, I'm a pretty quiet person. Actually, when I'm not, I can go days without talking. I'm very boisterous if I'm teaching or talking about something that I'm passionate about. But I'm not one of these social media talking head guys. I was involved a lot of social media early on to help and support my business. But I've really backed out of that a lot as of late. And one thing that had always bothered me a little bit is when people will say, wow, you're so talented. And I go, well, am I really? I don't think I am really talented. I'm no more talented than anybody else. I just have this thing where whatever I'm going to do, I want to do it to the best of my ability. That's it. And I don't think people realize the time and the effort that I put into whatever these one little, whether it's mountain bike racing, whether it's BMX racing, whether it's my music stuff, which I was a professional musician until I was 30 years old. And then I decided to get into dog training for no reason other than I wanted to do something different. People are like, why did you stop doing that? I had a very lucrative career playing with some very big international artists. I just felt like doing something different. And if I'm going to do something different, I better be fucking good at it. And what's that going to take? It's going to take a lot of sacrifice, a lot of blah, blah, blah. And I have this saying, we all have the same 24 referring into 24 hours in a day, and to use yours very wisely, because that's why I'm very, I get my sleep that I need. There's sometimes it's a little tough if I'm playing at late night and I'm not home till 1:30, 2 a.m. Maybe I don't get up till 7:30. That's a late morning for me, right? But I want to fill my life with stuff that I like.
Right.
And I want to feel proud about whatever I'm doing. I want to feel good about it. I want to go to bed and go, wow, I felt good about what I did today, whatever that thing was. Even if it didn't go the way I wanted, I can go, well, you know what? It didn't go the way I wanted, and I'll use it as a learning experience, but God damn it, I fucking gave it 150%.
Right. Yeah, because
you know,
when you
versus a lot of people just think, well, Dave's this eccentric, like Larry Crone had joked about it and said he's like a rock star type of guy. Well, maybe, I guess, I don't know. Like, if you think I'm just some partier that like fucks around all day and drinks and smokes weed all day, no, that's not me. I mean, I do enjoy my gummies at night for my back pain, and I do like to have an IPA here and then. But other than that, I'm going, man. And anybody that knows me or has been in my orbit knows that I'm going. Like today, we have this I worked my dog already this morning, and then we have this, and we'll be wrapped up. I'll take care of my dogs at noon. Then I'm going to have a light lunch. I may take a 20-minute nap. Then I'm going to the gym, like I do every single day at like 1:30, 2 o'clock. Then I'm going to come home. I'm going to eat my dinner at 4 o'clock. Then I'm going to start studying my music stuff until about 7:30 or 8. Then I'm going to probably listen to some music and be to bed by whatever, 10 o'clock. You know, it's just the same, whatever it is every day, it's going.
Right. You're very consistent and you're
yeah. And I think that's important if you're trying to succeed at stuff, right? And whether if I don't know how to do something, I don't go, well, I'm scared to do it, to learn because I may do it wrong. No, I fucking put both feet in and dive in and do it and figure it out. And that's a big problem with people dog training too. They get a new puppy and they're like, it'll be 5 months old. And I'll say, well, what have you done? Well, I didn't want to do anything because I'm scared to screw it up. Like, no, fucking get to screwing it up. Get to doing it. Let's go. Let's do stuff.
Right.
So yeah, you know, I come from in my college education was music. I have associate's degree in jazz performance, master's in music education. A lot of people, even went in the dog training world, they found out, because I just started playing music again 2 years ago. And the reason was I was getting really hurt racing BMX.
Right.
And I'm sure you know this, after you're 50, you don't heal quite as quickly. And I was going down a bad path with that BMX racing because I'm like, well, I want to fucking win and I want to be the state champion and the national champion in my age group. But there's a price that comes with that to your body, right?
Right.
So I'm like, okay, I'm still going to race, but I'm not going to chase that carrot. I want to get back into music. And for me to have taken almost 30 years off from playing professionally, it was a little bit of a nightmare, you know, like my hands, my bodies. I still held the knowledge in my head, but my body wouldn't do stuff. Well, I was also an educator. I'm like, well, I know how to get it back. That will require 4 hours a day for me, 4 hours per day of practice that has not just playing, actual practice. And I set these little goals for me 2 years ago, and I look at these goals that I'd set. I never thought I would make these milestones, but the reality is I'm almost playing full-time again. I'm quickly becoming a top call drummer in the Texas area. I could do this full-time if I wanted, and people are like shocked. I'm like, well, what are you shocked about? First of all, I had this education where I paid $1 million for back when I was younger. Right. I was a professional musician for 30 until I was like around 30. And all it took, I knew what it would take for me to be able to do it again. And I just quietly did it. There weren't many. I do have my own Instagram page for my music stuff, but I didn't even really show many of my dog people friends. And then I just came out and I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm ready to do this again. So anyway, what I'm speaking of is that a lot of people will tell me, you're so talented. I don't think I'm talented. I think I work really hard, and I'm very focused and goal oriented.
You're very focused. When you say, it seems to be when you set your mind to something, you just go for it.
That's it. What, you know, that's all I think about. I tell people, if you have a goal you want to accomplish, do things like clip pictures out of magazines that have to do with whatever that goal is. Post them around your bedroom.
Right.
Post them in your bathroom. Just things to keep you thinking about this shit all day long, right? Like, so you're thinking about how am I going to deal with that? But right, it's in your brain. It's not just a part-time thing, right?
Right.
But that being said, I can also multitask. I can still do one thing and two other things in my life at the same time.
Right.
But that requires super regiment daily life.
Right. So when you said that you were, a musician, a drummer, musician, at the very beginning, and you toured with some very famous people like Cher and Mark and Donnie Wahlberg before they became movie stars and all that stuff. So, who else did you tour with, if anyone, or did you wish you would have toured with?
Well, I mean, this is an interesting thing. People, they look at me, they think my persona is, well, that's Dave's rock and roll. Right. My education was not in, of course, when I was a teenager until I was 12 or 13, I was listening to heavy metal, as we all were, right. Or whatever music from generation, hard rock, stuff like that. Right. But at a very young age, I started studying jazz music.
Right. And
jazz encompasses a whole bunch of stuff from the 1920s all the way up to modern day jazz, right? There's a lot of different stuff there. So that, as a later teenager, that's what consumed me.
Right.
And then I went to college and was studying, and I missed out on listening to a lot of rock music, especially early 70s rock music.
Right.
I didn't even know what it was.
Right.
And so when I got out of college, I had a jazz background and a classical background, but I also listened to certain, James Brown, Parliament Funkadelic. I love reggae. I love world music. I love a lot of different types of stuff. And even though I was, quote, from a jazz background, I started getting calls to do regular country gigs or pop gigs or something like that. And when I got called for the Cher gig, that was, they didn't call me because I was just a young kid right out of college. And one of my instructors actually referred me to the musical director for the gig.
Oh, wow.
Right. And I went and took the gig, and it's a straight pop gig. And of course I could play it. Right. But it wasn't like, oh, I wanted to become a pop drummer. And that's how those other artists kind of fell into my lap. Once you're in that circle, being a musician or a session guy who does a lot of different stuff, the main things are like, are you professional? Are you on time? Blah, blah, blah. That's how you make money.
Right.
That's what it is. Are you good enough to do the gig, but are you easy to get along with? Are you, like people think, oh, you must have been partying on all those tours.
Because if you think
I wasn't.
New Kids on the Block and Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, you have to think they were in a lot of trouble back then.
Right. Absolutely. But what people don't understand is on a lot of those jobs, I don't deal with Cher. I didn't deal with Mark. I dealt with a musical director.
Mm.
So I've not had, people are like, well, what was Cher like? I'm like, well, she, in one retrospect, she was a lot like me, an incredible, hardworking woman.
Yeah.
Well, did you ever talk to her? No. She said something to me one time in one of our early rehearsals. She chewed my fucking ass out for playing something and showing off a little bit. Since that day, it was a lesson learned in my life about, when you're working for something, do what they tell you. But I didn't travel with her. I didn't travel with you're a musical, you report to a musical director.
Right.
You're not hanging out with Mark. You're not hanging out with Cher. So whatever they do, that's not my business. My job is to, hey, Dave, here's the itinerary for the day, the week, your flight arrangements, blah, 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 the hotels, here's your lobby calls, here's, van calls to the venue, sound check is at this time. And it's not, well, what was backstage like? backstage, fuck, dude, that was like, it's not what you think it was. Like, that was people warming up and tuning up and getting their shit ready to go on, you know, like it's not party time. But, you know, as far as people that I would have loved to, there's millions of people that I would have loved to play with in my life and still would love to play with. At this moment of my life, I play with 5 different bands in the Austin area, a country band. I have my own jazz trio that's sometimes a quartet with a singer. I play with a 17-piece jazz orchestra, which I played with last night. I play with a salsa, Latin salsa fusion rock type of band, which is super, super fun. We're playing this Sunday. I play with a psychobilly band, and I play with another jazz group. So I do a lot of different things. You know, I like to say variety is the spice of life, you know?
Right. So let me ask you, because I have to, because this person probably has the same, and everybody as a drummer found him is probably the most, and with having the same jazz background. Neil Peart.
Neil Peart from Rush.
Right, from Rush. So
what's your question?
Did you find him inspirational? Do you find that you have the same similarities, or did you not like him?
Okay, this is a great conversation. Now, the dog people won't give a shit, and we're going way off topic, but you asked me the question. This is more of a conversation if I was doing a podcast about drumming.
Well, no,
listen,
I'll get back to other questions, but I'm asking, I want to know
that, you know, a lot of people still ask me, especially from the dog world, well, who's the best drummer? I'm like, best drummer? This ain't a competition. It's an art, right? Like, I don't know, who the fuck is the best painter in the world? I don't know. It's in the eye of the beholder, right? And most people, they view Western music as the thing. It's like, you guys understand when I say Western music, American music,
right?
Like that's the status quo. I'm like, you understand the world's a pretty big fucking world, right?
Right.
Like there's a lot of fucking music out there, and you understand our American music, rock and roll country. You understand that the only true American art form is jazz. Do you understand that?
Right. Well, that's why I think
you,
someone had a jazz background. He was also,
you
know, he had, you know, he wrote books. He did all kinds of stuff.
100%.
A lot of you, because he did so many things. You know, he also had a lot of trauma in his life. Not that I think you have trauma in your life. I'm just saying he was more than just a drummer.
Right. I would say, here's the thing about Neil. Because I have a different background, and I can give you list of 50 drummers that I feel are better than Neil, but I even hate saying that because Neil does what Neil does.
Right.
You know, he played, he performed at the Buddy Rich Memorial, one of their concerts with, they had 5 great drummers. They had Vinnie Colaiuta, Dave Weckl, and Steve Gadd, 3 of my top favorite drummers, and Neil Peart.
Right.
Neil Peart was the weak one in that, in that format.
Right.
They were playing jazz with a big band.
Right.
I mean, it was still good and everything, but I think Neil was an incredible drummer. We have way more in common as a human.
As a human, right. Well,
I am much more interested in Neil Peart, the human, than the drummer.
And that's why I phrased it that way, because I said, do you find that you have things in common with him? Not that just as the drummer part, but that you have things philosophy-wise in common, right? So because everybody looks at him as the drummer, as the drummer, right? And although he has a jazz background, there was more to him than just the drummer.
100%. You know, I think we could talk about other people that are, and we're just talking about, once again, American rock music.
Right.
Jeff Beck is it comes to mind because he was really into collecting cars, old race cars and stuff like that. And I think a lot of people that are really good at something do other things too, right? And there's a lot that people don't realize about Neil Peart. Like, okay, you can, if you would think that Neil Peart is the greatest drummer that ever lived. Do you understand he went and took lessons with Freddie Gruber?
Oh, wow.
Mid-career, because he felt his playing sucked and he completely changed the way he played. Freddie Gruber, who was, at that point, probably 75 years old. And, if you talk to Neil, he'd be speaking the same way that I would. He'd be very humble. He goes, well, thank you. I appreciate you complimenting me, but there's 9 million drummers in the world that are fucking way better than me. And it's another interesting point is this woman, Annika Niles, this woman drummer from Germany, who is recently taken over the seat for Rush. And of course, all the Rush fans are like, she'll never be as good as Neil. Annika played with Jeff Beck. Annika played with a bunch of people. She's technically, I even hate saying this, she's technically a better drummer than Neil Peart. Doesn't mean she's better. She has technical skills that are better. And it's like, you guys understand there's a lot of good, same thing with dog trainers. My travels around the world, I've met some fucking dog trainers down in Cali, Colombia, that you'll never hear of, you never will hear of. They don't have a social media platform. And I'm going, Jesus, fuck, man, you're good. Like, I feel stupid standing next to you, Like, this is a big fucking world. And there's a lot of stuff out there. And I encourage people to explore this big fucking world.
Right.
Because our little niche of the United States is incredibly small, whether it's art or music or whatever. Right. But yeah, I find I do have a lot. And Neil was a very quiet person. He, and like I said, I find myself more connecting with him as a person. The drumming stuff, I respect. He was a great innovator, he wrote a lot of the music. I think he was a great drummer for Rush. Is he my favorite drummer in the world? No, there is much more complex musical stuff out there. Right. But yeah.
Right. See, and I was talking to my husband. I said, when I watch your videos and stuff like that, I love watching things about you, because when all these people give you your accolades and stuff like that, you're always like, and I'm like, he's such a humble person that I can see it in you, that you're like, oh, okay, let's move on with it. Yeah. You can tell that you're humble, and you're like, okay, I get that I've done all these things, but I'm more than that. And that's why I said I want to do, and that's why when I wrote you, I promise I'm not going to do the boring blah, blah, blah,
No, I love interjecting stuff like this, because that, I probably could never be a motivational speaker. And, I have my own problems in life. I have my own demons I deal with in my head. Everybody. But, I encourage people to explore the world more. I use all 24 hours of your day. Pack your day with as many things as you can. You and I are probably very close to the same age, if not exactly the same age. I hope I have more than 15, 20 years left. Right. But God damn it, if I don't, we're filling those years up.
Right. Well, that's it, like you start looking at life and you go, I got less years ahead of me than I do. Right. You kind of just go, I don't give a shit anymore. That's why I started the YouTube channel. I only started a month ago, and I was just like, I'm just going to start telling people the fucking truth. I don't even care anymore. If they don't like it, they don't have to watch it. I'm just going to start telling people, look, you're getting scammed by these people. You're doing this. And I'm going to start bringing people on that have the same mindset and can really tell people the truth, that don't give a shit about actually giving real advice. Right. That is going to tell the truth. But I don't want it to be the same old bullshit of, oh, well, what do you think about the e-collar? What do you think about the pinch collar? What do you think about, this or that or blah, blah, blah. No, just the real people. Like we've missed, like back in the day, we used to sit down and have real dog conversation where you could sit down, I literally have the cup of coffee that's in our screenshot, but I moved to a Monster to energy drink. But I was like, we used to sit down. Like my mentor was the greatest mentor. Her first champion was in 1969. People are paying now for a mentor. Why?
Right.
My mentor never charged me a fucking dime, you know? And I was like, and she died in 2020. She had an aneurysm. And so it was just like a fluke thing. But I was like, who pays for a mentor?
Yeah. This is another topic too, because I'm not wealthy.
Right.
I have a nice, well, I don't even want to say nice house. I have a house with I own some acreage. And I still pay the mortgage. And probably my honesty is why I'm not so quote rich and wealthy. Because, I never did things like, oh, I'm going to sell a 2-week board and train guaranteed, or I'm going to sell this, or I always go, well, fuck, before I take your money, how do I feel about the honesty of the information I'm giving you?
Right.
I do struggle with a lot of that in my head, where I turn down a lot of money, where I'm like, oh, it's not that you don't need me. You don't need, I still do have to pay my mortgage. I still have to eat. I still have to pay for groceries, which are insane now. But I still struggle with bills and stuff daily versus other dog trainers that are making incredible amounts of money. I'm like, yeah, but man, that I don't like, it's common sense stuff. And I hate charging you with trillions of dollars just so you can hear me spew a bunch of bullshit out of my mouth,
Somebody called me the other day. They did a 6-week board and train for $7,000.
Oh my God. I thought 6 weeks. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I would be charging not close to that.
Right. They called me and they said the dog still don't sit, the dog doesn't walk on a leash, the dog doesn't anything. And I said, well, here's the thing, right? Once you hand the leash over and they close the door, you have no fucking idea what they're doing with that dog, because they're
Right.
also training how many other dogs. And my 15 minutes of training, and there's 15 minutes, and then the dog gets put up, and then the 15 minutes that I train again, and then the dog gets put up, and all this. How do you know? First of all, the first week the dog's there, it's just acclimating, right? So then the second week is the actual training and all this. So what the fuck did they do to this dog that when you got it home, it's doing nothing? How do you know that they just didn't take $7,000?
Yeah, it's insane, man.
$7,000. And then the person said, it's your fault because you're not continuing what I did, but yet there's no video of the dog ever working. There's no one-on-one training. There's no going to the house and working, continuing doing the thing. There's no online, video chat or nothing to continue the work. It's just your fault for $7,000. I'm like,
yeah, I think the big problem I have with the industry, or with there's a lot of problems with the industry. My problem, it's a personal problem, wrapping my head around being a professional dog trainer. Anybody and everybody that knows me knows I'm a huge proprietor of understanding learning theory, applied theory. Right. And listen, there's not much fucking new stuff come out since Pavlov, Thorndike. We can go back to Skinner and stuff like that. Right. Maybe some new uses of the way we do that stuff, but I'm always trying to teach when I'm doing seminars. Here is the book. Here's the Bible, the laws of learning, psychology, right? And I took psychology classes. We all had to in college, right? A lot of it's the same material. I just wasn't thinking about dogs back then.
Right.
Here's the information. I'm going to give you the information and you'll never need me again.
Right.
But they don't want that. They go, no, we want you to fix it.
Right.
We want you to fix, here, it's your problem. And I'm like, well, it's not really my problem, right? Because anything that I do, I take the laws of learning, applied theory, which I know applied learning theory. I know this stuff inside and out, and go, here's my problem, Dave. How do I approach this per the laws of learning, applied theory? Okay, well, let me try this. Let me try that. Okay, why is that happening? Blah, blah, blah. And I approach it that way. So I try to teach people about theory. Sounds great and everything. That's not real fucking sexy to talk about, though, is it? No, it's not. It's dry as fuck. Like, they're like, well, who are your mentors and who do you study? Why, there's dog trainers that I like and watch and stuff. But mentor, like, I study the laws of learning. Go back to Thorndike, Skinner, Pavlov. Understand the history of the Brelands and Bob Bailey and, be a student of that stuff. When you're a student of that, then you know the answer over here. And I always use the, the old phrase, if you give a man a fish, he can eat today. But if you teach him how to fish, they can eat forever. I want to teach you how to fish. I just don't want to give you the answer. I want to, let's talk about it. Why is your problem happening? Blah, blah, blah. Let's look at X, Y, Z. Let me play detective. You tell me why you think it's, you tell me how we could maybe go approach this. If you're wrong, I'll tell you you're wrong, right? But being a student of applied learning theory, and that's not fucking sexy. It's not fun. It's not cool. I can't make an Instagram or TikTok video about it. Here's me talking about blah, 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 the antecedent and the behavior and the ABCs of learning, yawn. I'm like, well, you understand that's what I study.
And then you watch their eyes just kind of glaze over and then they're walking around and you're just like, okay, well, I've lost you. So yeah, I mean, but that's, that's the stuff. And I don't know. I just, sorry, I look at that stuff and I just kind of, when you get these calls and you're like, well, I can't help you. I mean, I can sit here and do a video chat with you and stuff like that, but you're going to pay more. And I feel bad because like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, if you're not going to sit and do this stuff, if you're not going to learn this stuff, you're going to keep paying and paying and paying, and you're going to go to somebody else. And this is the thing. It's kind of like being a lawyer. Like, I went to law school, and it's like being a lawyer. You put 50 lawyers in a room, you're going to get 55 different answers. You put 50 trainers in a room, you're going to get the same thing.
And sometimes I start to doubt myself too. Like, I'm going, well, fuck, man, it's a common sense thing, And then I go, well, is it, Dave? Because so-and-so trainer is doing this, so-and-so. And I'm like, no, Dave, that's bullshit. This is a straight comment. It is really that easy sometimes. The potty training. Take the fucking puppy out. It can't be that easy. Yeah, it is. Every 3 hours, monitor feeding and water and that, crate train the dog. It can't be that easy. Yeah, it fucking really is. I just told you the secret in fucking under 15 seconds, right? I mean, I guess if you want to give me $1,000 for that, you can. But I'm walking back in the house going, man, did I just sell somebody, an 8-ball of cocaine? Because that's what I feel like I did.
Don't you love when they do that? And they're like, but this trainer told me this. I tell people all the time, this trainer told me this, or this breeder told me that. Well, then go to that fucking trainer.
Right.
I mean, just go to them, because I'm going to tell you this. And this is what I truly believe. And this is what's going to help the dog. Or, I'm sorry, this dog, mentally unstable. I can tell you by watching this video. I can tell you by doing this, whatever. It is mentally unstable. The best thing for you to do is honestly go put that dog down. You can't save them all. That is another thing that is very controversial with me. People tell me all the time, oh my God, why would you tell somebody to put their dog down? Because first of all, they're not going to manage that for the rest of their life. That is going to end up in a bad situation, and someone is going to get seriously hurt. And if they don't put that dog down, they're going to pass the buck. I can't stand people who pass the buck onto somebody.
Oh, I hate that.
So I will say, I'm going to be really bluntly honest. I hate when people say, I want your honest opinion. Well, do you really want my honest opinion? Because I'm going to give it to you. But, then I'll say that to them. And well, you know what this trainer told me? Well, then go to that fucking trainer, because I don't want
to go to that trainer. I'll be poor one more day and fucking, just eat rice for dinner, but I'm not taking your money. Go to that fucking trainer. And that's my approach to everything. It's probably not the greatest business model in the world, but at the end of the day, I have to sleep well and feel good.
Right.
And it's a struggle in the industry because I look back at all this, I go, this isn't that fucking hard. It's like, it's really not. Because it does require common sense, and we know that is a lacking thing nowadays. But yeah, I'll always probably be on the poorer side of middle class.
Me too. I say that all the time too. I'm like, well, I can't lie to people. I'm very much about being honest, upfront, blunt. My husband says all the time, you add the brutal to honesty. Just because I can't look at people. I do it with horses. I do it, with dogs and stuff like that. I'm just very honest with people in what they're looking at, what they're seeing. And the reality is they need to know this. And unfortunately, we have people today that look at things and go, oh, but, well, my dog has same-sex aggression, and I have 2 dogs, or I have 2 bitches. And, well, if I just train it hard enough, it will stop fighting.
Right.
No, it won't. You're going to manage that situation. You will never cure it. Believe it or not, I have had so many people, and I've even done videos on it, lives on it, where people have said, no, I was told that I can literally train it and cure the dog from same-sex aggression. Who told you that?
Yeah, that's insane. I can't.
Where are you learning this?
I feel like it's so cringeworthy. And really, if I'm scrolling my Instagram, I'm not even on TikTok. My algorithm is mainly music stuff and like extreme sports and occasionally dog stuff. But when I get people that come to me for private lesson with a dog that quote dog aggression, inner household dog aggression with 2 dogs, I always tell them, and I'm in my office right now, which is connected to my training field, and we'd be sitting out on the picnic table, and I go, I've got 2 males in that office. They're both in crates. They are both highly trained. One has been to multiple world championships. One will be in a world championship. They have never come in contact with each other. And they're like, well, what do you mean? I go, they're in crates right now in there. They cannot come in contact with each other. They're like, why? I go, they will kill each other.
Right.
And I can see in their eyes, they're thinking, well, you're Dave Kroyer. You can't train that out of them. I'm like, no, they're going to fucking kill each other, right? They can't, there is no contact. They can be in the crates to get there, right? And I let one out and he's not allowed to go fuck with the other dog in the crate. And people, they can't understand it. I'm like, that's a management thing. That's management. And I've got to be careful. I can't have had too many IPAs and forgot blah, blah, blah. A crate was unlatched or anything like that. And I go, see, that's a management thing. And there's the difference between me and you. I can manage that.
Right.
And there is no fix. Because if there was a fix, don't you fucking think I would have fixed it? Right? I'm not willing to gamble anything. I have 2 dogs that are my top performance dogs. They're worth a lot of, not that I care, but they're worth a lot of money for one.
Right.
I'm not rich. I can't afford vet bills. I can't afford, I don't have fucking health insurance. I can't go to the ER.
Right.
Okay. Like, you don't understand. This is real life. If you're coming to me, you want to pay me. I'm telling you, my 2 males cannot and will never come in contact with each other.
Right.
And they're like, huh?
Right.
That's not what TikTok told me. Well, fuck, then go back to TikTok. I don't know.
Right. I know. I get that all the time. And I'm just like, I don't understand where you think you can do this. And I don't know who's telling you this or where they learned it at, because it's not, you can't cure it. It's no different than, the one person that's training these dogs and it says, and this is the stuff that I get in trouble for all the time, is, well, if I don't train it this way, which is literal abuse in my opinion, it will die. Well, then it should probably be put to sleep.
Yeah.
If you have to abuse a dog to train it, then there's an issue. And people are like, I can't believe you would say that. I'm just telling the truth. If you have to abuse a dog, or it's in this fashion, or it's going to have to be put to sleep, well, then it should probably just be put to sleep.
This is a great topic too, because obviously there's a lot of controversy surrounding the topic of dogs having to be put down. So like everybody they'll ask me the same thing. Well, what's your opinion? Here's my opinion. In my whole career, it's the same opinion as yours, but slightly different. I've only seen a handful of dogs that I said, yeah, that dog's not right.
Right.
Like it's just not right.
Right.
Your normal dog, here's when I'm looking at the dog, and I struggle with this in my head.
Right.
I look at that dog because one of my early dogs in my life was a reactive dog, and I didn't fix it. I had it when I was going to the Tom Rose School. I learned a lot, and I managed it, and the problem never manifested again, right?
Right.
Because I managed it. But that dog, I could have easily said, without before I was educated on the stuff, put it down. You come to me with a reactive dog, I look at it and I go, Dave, could that dog be with you and you manage the problem and never see it again? I go, yeah. But then the client is telling me, whatever the client decides to do, I have a hard time saying, put that dog down when I know in my heart it could live a beautiful life with me, but it's a struggle so I go, but this is not my problem. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. Because I don't want to be the one giving it the blue juice. Right.
Okay. But
so it's a mental problem that I struggle with that going on one side of this, the dog could live a beautiful life with me because I've done it before. On the other side, I don't know what you're going to do. And it's not my fucking problem because I don't want to be Dr. Death.
Well, yeah.
Right.
Right. And okay. And in that instance, I 1000% agree with you.
Right.
And on my live, I said the same thing, right? Not in your words, but this is what I said. If a trainer has to do it, right? Mm-hmm. Then they have to keep the dog. They can't pass the dog off to someone else. If that trainer, because you're managing it, you're never curing it. So if Dave Kroyer took this dog that had to be trained or be put down, then Dave Kroyer has to keep that dog for its entire life.
Exactly.
It can never go back to someone else because in my opinion, then you're passing the buck because that John Q. Public that brought you that dog that needs to be managed, they can't manage. Say some just John Q. Public brought you a dog that needs to be seriously trained or put down. And you said, well, I can do that. Okay, well, you can. I could.
Right.
Ivan could. Larry could. All these people could. But then they have to keep that dog.
Yeah. And I'm with you. I don't want the dog passed around because it's not going to get better. Right. I just try to, instead of having any hardcore, like I said, there were a couple dogs in my life. I said, yeah, that has to be put down. I'd rather put it on the owner. Your problem.
Right.
What are we going to do with it? Not my fucking problem.
Right. And so
I don't know, Pat. It really is not my problem. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to talk about it. It's not my fucking problem, right? Because I just don't like I don't like going to bed thinking, God, fuck, man. Even though I know what the answer is.
Right.
Let someone else deal with that, not me. Like I'm a fucking softie. I look fucking whatever. But my answer is probably the dog should be put down. And I don't want it passed around. But you know what? Ain't coming out of your problem. First of all, you're not paying me anymore. Go find another trainer. Let it be their fucking problem. I'll eat rice and canned tuna again tonight. It's fine.
Right. Right. And I say that too, right? Because I am too, like I said, I have way more love and understanding and caring and loyalty to an animal than I do empathy for people. Because I look at
100%.
I look at people and I go, why the fuck did you breed these animals to begin with? Because so I have Corsos now, right? So I have 2 Connie Corsos. And in that breed, I see so many dogs being bred that are unstable, people just breeding dogs together that shouldn't be bred together, creating all these messes and stuff like that, way more than what should be and all that stuff. So I see a lot of dogs that I look at and go, what the fuck were you thinking? And dogs that were unstable to begin with that shouldn't have been bred. So I probably see more of that than say you do in your line of work,
right?
The sports dog stuff, because people in the Corso breed are breeding more for the money. They want the big, and what they considered it is the badass dog, the dog at the end of the lead that's snarling, that's this 200-pound dog that's ready to kill someone. That's what they want. They want this dog that nobody can touch, that all this bullshit that you see on TikTok and YouTube and all that shit. And so these are unstable dogs that I think, oh my God, like you're fast tracking us to the ban list.
Right.
You know what I mean? So when you see those type of dogs, then you think these are people that they, first of all, don't deserve the breed because they're making it bad to begin with, but then they're breeding dogs just to breed for the sake of breeding. I got a dog, you got a dog, let's breed them together. No health testing, no understanding, no temperament testing, nothing to even understand what the breed is or how it should even be handled. And then they're hurting people, they're hurting children, they're hurting other dogs, they're breeding aggressive dogs to begin with just because they want that badass label.
Right.
For the novelty of owning these dogs. And then they're giving them to trainers to try to manage all these issues. We've got resource guarding, we've got, same-sex aggression, we've got all these issues on top of, epilepsy, all these crazy shit things that are happening with this breed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's insane. I see it with the Corsos also. I'm so fortunate to have a few clients that I work with some of the most wonderful Corsos that are doing sport work. And what most people wouldn't realize about them is like, these things are fucking the sweetest. Like, yeah, they're doing IGP and they're biting. I'm like, this is the temperament is almost of my beagle. They're so fucking sweet, and they'll still do their barrier aggression at night behind a fence, like that's what they do, whatever. But I'm like, these aren't really, they're not, by their breed, they should be fucking nice, social, sweet animals. They're
a landrace breed, and they should be. They're a guardian breed. They're there to protect their owner. They're definitely. Right. I mean, I have 2. They're laying on my couch right now. Not an issue. They're not this, crazy, mean, aggressive dog that everybody wants them to be. I work them in tandem. They patrol my property. They don't give anybody any problems. My neighbors absolutely love them. All this thing. But we can't put them in a good light because we have all of this, the cultures out there that they need to be badass. Nobody's allowed to touch them. All this stuff. And they're producing these dogs that are just bad for John Q. Public, because John Q. Public is no different than the Malinois. John Q.
Right.
Public wants what they see on TikTok, what everybody's making them famous for. And so then they go to these trainers, and these trainers are out there going, oh my God, have you ever seen the Corso? I can't handle them. They need to be put to sleep. They need to this, they need to that. And then people are just, 15 to 18 months, they're being put in shelters. They're being put to sleep. They're being passed around. Everybody needs to get rid of them because they go through at 15 to 18 months, this stage of where they're getting their, they're coming into their own, they're hitting puberty. And if you are not an owner that is going to go, okay, we need to work through this, they're going to overrule you. And that is a training thing. And it's not like, we need to get you or I in there and go, I'm going to be strong, I'm going to be alpha, and you're going to listen to me, and I need to beat the shit out of you. But we do have trainers that will do that. Yeah. And then all of a sudden hits that switch. Or they want to do bite work with them, and they know how to turn them on, but they can't turn them off. And so now we got dogs.
You're absolutely right with that. It's we've seen it. It's happening with the Corsos. We see it with so many breeds. Yeah. When we talk about even the bite work and protection in dog sports or whatever, which, to be honest, that's my least favorite part. I don't want to say it's my least favorite. I love the protection work, but that's not me. That's the dog.
Right.
All I am is the conduit. Right. Like when we start talking about competitive obedience or the tracking, that's more me. That's my training I'm putting in the dog. The protection work, I'm like, well, that's the dog's genetics showing through and shining, right? And I'm just the conduit. I don't get that excited about protection work. It's not this mystery thing, whether it's personal protection or police or sport, which I understand all because I do them all. I've done them all. Right. But it's like, it's a very, I could sum up protection work very quickly in about 2 minutes and understanding the dog's drives and blah, blah, blah. But I'm not that guy that gets infatuated with protection dogs, right? Like, I just happen to like watching a dog that's bred genetically very correct, right, do the thing and do it well, right? But that's a whole nother thing. It's the big macho man thing and blah, blah, blah. Okay. I joke and call it small penis syndrome, but
all the time I'm like, well, there's another one that needs an extension to his penis. It's kind of like the big dog that can't work and the big truck that can't work. I grew up in the country, so it's kind of like the same thing, it's like, so I say the same thing. That's funny. So let me ask you, if you died tomorrow and you had to come back as any animal, what would it be? Fictional or real?
Great question. The last few years of my life, I've been obsessed with felines.
Really?
Yeah. Cats. Any type of cat. Wild cat. Probably a wild cat, or I don't know, just a feline of some kind. I don't know. I'm finding them very intriguing. I had them when I was a little kid, and it wasn't until 5-6 years ago, maybe no longer than that the feral ones just kind of started coming out of the brush around here. And I don't know. I'm a little bit like, they're intriguing to me.
Yeah.
Very intriguing to me.
I watch a Shalom. It's a Shalom Zoo. It's around here, and they have white tigers. I absolutely love white tigers. So that's kind of cool. So now, if you had to have a trainer as an animal, if you're an animal and somebody was training you, out of all the people in the industry, all over the world, what trainer would you pick?
Oh God, I have so many friends that are incredible trainers. You may know this name, Susan Garrett.
Oh yeah, okay.
I would want her training me. Or, oh gosh, there's a very young trainer that some of the listeners may know. Her name is Sam Adams.
Okay.
I've known her, since she was fairly young. I think she's 26 now. She's I've been watching her grow. We're very good friends. She's a good friend of mine. Right. She studied a lot of the stuff that she's just a stud. This is what she does, dogs. She's right. Really studies hard and she has good feeling and everything. But Sam Adams is an incredible young trainer. I'd let her be my trainer.
Okay. If you came back as a dog, what dog would it be? And what breed matches your soul, do you think?
Oh, the joke in the IGP world, especially with some of the older my friends, Mike Deal, Sean O'Kane, Wallace Payne, some of the older guys. The joke is that I'm a Malinois because sometimes I don't have the greatest nerves. They always, when we're in big groups, they play a lot of pranks on me and do things to scare the shit out of me. And they always say that you're so twitchy like a Malinois. And I can kind of see that a little bit. Even last night, I guess this could happen to anybody. I was walking my beagle and out of nowhere, a snake came out and slithered right under her. She didn't flinch. I fucking threw the leash up and fucking freaked the fuck out. She's like, "What are you doing, dude?" She didn't even notice the fucking snake.
She just kind of looked at you like, "What?"
Yeah. So, from the working aspect of the Belgian Malinois and, I think a Malinois would be me.
Yeah,
Yep.
Malinois? Okay.
I think the German Shepherd's much more stoic.
Right.
The Malinois does have its little bit of twitchy stuff going on, and I think I have a little bit of that also.
Right. Okay. So if you died and was reincarnated into another human, what human would you want to come back as and why?
The era that I would like to first come back, I have this big obsession with 1940s, 1950s, even early 60s jazz music. Yeah. And I always wish I lived in the area in New York, in the Village in those days, and, was running around in the Village, being able to listen to all the jazz groups at the old jazz clubs, Birdland, the Mittens and the Blue Note and all those old jazz clubs, because it was a really neat scene. And I would like to have been maybe a drummer coming back as a drummer in the 1940s, 50s, maybe a young Tony Williams. It's just a jazz drummer that I really like and look up to. But I think more than a person, I would like to be reincarnated and come back in that time era.
That's cool. That's cool. Okay.
What's funny is you and I, we didn't have YouTube when we were in college. We didn't have all that shit.
Right.
And I love going back and I can find all these documentaries and shit of all this stuff where, I learned it in college, but Jesus fuck, I didn't know there was a video on YouTube about, the 1952 Harlem or 19 blah, blah documentary. It's like, wow. So like I watch shit like that every day. I take it upon myself to educate myself and watch one thing educational. Normally it's pretty historic, whether it's music or whatever from YouTube. But I'm kind of obsessed with that era. Or be an early 70s guy, 60s, late 60s, 70s guy.
Right. I do the same thing. I believe knowledge is power. People send me stuff all the time and I'll be like, oh, this person. I'm like, what, is it any good? Because I don't really care for this person. Or I watched that one already. And somebody said to me the other day, they're like, how do you know all these people? Like, I can just send you something and you know exactly who this person is or whatever. I said, I watch an ungodly amount of YouTube.
Yeah.
Because I'm always studying people. I have a group on Facebook and people are always like, she's got to be part of the CIA or part of Homeland Security or something. She just knows too much stuff.
No, but that's the cool thing about you, right? Like I said an hour and a half ago, it's a big fucking world out there.
Right.
Let's learn about it. You know, let's learn about it. And I intentionally try to, I don't wake up in the morning and I don't put the news on. I go on YouTube and go, cool. Here's a 1967 Miles Davis live in Paris. Let me watch that for 10 minutes and I'll leave it running as I'm doing some stuff, as I'm getting ready. And then I'll pause it. So when I go back in and take my little 20-minute nap with my beagle, I'll finish watching that. And I'm always and the interesting thing is, sometimes like, Dave, why don't you start fucking doing more modern research? I'm like, because I can't I've got so much to catch up with history shit because we didn't have this YouTube fucking stuff, right? I'm like, now I can actually see what it looked like back then,
Right. Right? That's the truth. So, like, I know you wanted to go skydiving, but you're afraid of heights. Have you gone skydiving yet?
No, that interview was only probably a month ago. So I will. I am going. You know what? I have to go work in Australia in October for 3 weeks, and there's a lot of outdoorish activities.
Because you're going to
there,
something there, right?
Yeah, and I probably will be in New Zealand too, and like that's where you want to do it, especially New Zealand. Like
right.
It's just, or I could just say, "Fuck it, let's drive up the road an hour and go up to the Waco skydiving, and skydive over a cornfield."
Right. So if you could take any extreme sport that you've done and make it a dog thing, a dog training course or whatever, what would you do?
Well, I'm actually about to get into this, and I was never a fan of this. I still mountain bike, but always people would say, "Well, do you love taking your dogs mountain biking?" I'm like, "No, fuck no. When I go mountain biking, I'm doing extreme mountain biking. I don't need to worry about my dog falling off a cliff or fucking something like that." Right. But like the bike de jouring, I think it's called, where you hook up the dog to the bike.
Right.
And they're using Huskies and Malin, good physically strong dogs. And it's getting pretty insane. Like they're racing now. Like I've been getting some clips on Instagram for that. And I may be looking into this actually relatively soon. So combining my dogs with mountain biking and doing that. The big key is you have to find some like Jeep type of trails where there's not a lot of traffic and they're flat and safe terrain, so when you wouldn't do that on these trails I mountain bike on.
Right. Yeah.
No,
there's a girl in my group that does it with her Huskies. So yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, she does it with her Huskies. So
I think I'm going to get into that. So there's a combination of two things.
Right. That would be cool. I'll have to watch for it. If there's one memory that you could delete forever, what would it be?
Memory, dog related or anything related?
Anything. It's just a memory. If you could delete it forever.
I look at, obviously if I want it deleted, that means it was something not so great that happened in my life, and I've had quite a bit of trauma with whether it's, deaths with family, friends, or dogs and stuff like that. I bet I had a lot of that in my life. But anything that I think was traumatic, I view as a learning experience.
See, I do too. That people.
So I can't. Believe me, there was some shit that I didn't want to deal with.
Right.
And maybe I didn't deal with it so well. But everything that that. Any trauma that's happened, I came out the other end and go, well, that was a learning experience, how to deal with yourself, Dave, in these incredibly traumatic moments. So there's nothing I want to delete in my life, I don't think.
That is such a good answer. My husband says that to me all the time. He says, I had a pretty bad childhood. And he says, for someone that lived your life, he said, you laugh all the time. You're like the most happiest person I know. And he goes, and I lived like a great life. And he goes, and you are so much happier than I am. I don't know how you walk around all the time with just smile on your face and happy, and you're always like up for anything. And he's like, you're just like a totally different person. And I'm like, because everything in life happens for a reason.
Yeah, and that's true. I mean, I think people like yourself, we learn through trauma more about ourselves. That doesn't mean you and I don't, like I said, have our demons in our head and our bad days and stuff. But if you can take trauma and come out the other end and learn from it, I think it's very powerful and it lets you look at life a little bit different.
Right. I say that all the time. I mean, we all have our shit storms, right? We're just going through them a little differently, right? but you should learn from them. You should grow from them. You should always understand what they were, right? And how to overcome, because like, even with having cancer, you learn to grow, right? It's no different than when they put the radiation seeds in my neck. My doctor told me, she said, I had to go get a card that said if I went to the airport that I had radiation. And so I didn't have a bomb on me. I had radiation. And so I said, so does that mean that I can really carry a bomb with me? And she's like, you have to go to therapy, because it was dark humor. It's like laughing at the gallows, right?
That's totally something I would say too.
Right? That means I can really carry a bomb on the plane, right? And she's like, that's dark humor. And I'm like, but that's how you process shit. I mean, like, for me, I process shit with dark humor. I'm just always really funny about stuff, right? But she didn't think it was funny, and because that's how the world is today. Like, the world is so, like, you can't laugh, you can't joke, everything is so sensitive, and I'm just this person where I just make light of everything. Like, you just deal with it and you move on. You pull up your bootstraps and you deal with shit.
Yeah, but Angie, that's also the life of a Gen Xer, right? We do know that, and I think, you know, like, you look, you know, I don't know the severity of the cancer or when it was. You do look fabulous, but I think a lot of stuff, like with the cancer, of course, you probably had a great technical team, doctors, blah blah blah. Yeah, but you're getting through it. I think it's more mental.
It is.
I think you could give somebody the same treatment that you had that had the same cancer, and they could die.
There was a girl. So I went through it for 13 years on and off. I was deemed terminal 3 times, came in and out of it for 13 years. I had people that tell me, oh, well, how do you go in and out of it for 13 years and stuff? I'm like, because it comes back. They actually, it was Trump literally who gave the right to try. And they imported stuff from Canada that actually saved me this last time. So I've been cancer free for 6 years. Which is great, right? So the thing is there was a girl who was 17 years old, had the same type of cancer I did, and she died. Unbelievably. And I feel horrible for her. But the thing is like, there were people that did all kinds of other, like, medications and stuff like that took, not medications, but they took the same stuff as I did, but they did like, morphine pops and stuff like that. I didn't take the pain meds and stuff like that. I didn't want to be out of it. I wanted to understand what I was going through and stuff like that. And my doctors were like, oh my God, are you sure? Like, this is very painful. And I'm like, yeah, it's very painful, but I want to know, like, I want to feel that I'm getting better. Like, it was mindset for me that I wanted to know that there was a difference versus sitting there numbed up.
Yeah, if that makes complete sense. I mean, I've never had to deal with anything like, I mean, the most traumatic physical thing I probably ever had was I had to have my knee reconstructed, and that was just like 3 years ago. No big fucking deal. But I didn't take the pain meds. I did maybe the first day. That was it. That was just so I could take a nap. But I'm like, no, I want to feel what's happening. Because then I can, regulate whether my thoughts or my body or everything, right? But so I would imagine I would kind of take that same, the way you handled that. But that's really interesting to listen to.
Right. Well, and when that's what it was. I mean, very much was the mindset is, I'm just going to get through it. I'm going to be fine. I'm going to, every time they were like, oh, because every time you have to go back every 6 months, there's that fear of, oh shit, it's back, or is it not, or is it? And so you would get an all clear or you wouldn't, and this or that, and when they tell you you're terminal, then you're like, oh shit, like, okay. And then they're like, well, there's this clinic, or, this is clinical trial you can try and blah, blah, blah. And then you'd be okay. And then you're like, okay, whatever, reprieve. And then all of a sudden you go back for 6 months and it'd be like, oh, well, we got some stuff. So they took so much of because I had, papillary carcinoma, and then it metastasized to my lymph nodes. So then I got lymphoma, and then I got intestinal cancer. So I had 3 types of cancer at the
the same time.
So it was like, it was just nuts how it was all just rolling. And so for like this whole time, it just kept going and going and going. And it was like, and my doctors were like, because I just kept making jokes about it. And my doctors were like, you really need to see a therapist, because like the fact that you just keep making jokes, you're not dealing with it. And I'm like, no, I'm dealing with it. I'm not fine, you know? Right. And they're like, yeah, but you're not. And like I told, like I had to go, like I was ordered to go see a therapist. And I'm just like, it's just like laughs from the gallows. You understand what that means, right? Like it's just laughs from the gallows. Like I'm just having, like, you have to understand, this is my life. Like, it's just following suit. Like I didn't have a good childhood. Now I have this. And I literally, because I have tattoos and stuff, I literally was going to get my parents' birth dates done on a thing. Oh God, I can't think of what this barcode. Yeah, on a barcode, and put recalled. Recalled, because I was like, there's just something wrong with my DNA, you know. And they're like, yeah, you're not normal. And I'm like, no, it's normal. Like, what is wrong with you people?
No, you are the normal one, right? Like,
it's normal. Who's to say we're not all normal, right? So, but yeah, I think it is. It's just all mental mindset. And I think that's what we've lost today in today's world. Everything has to be so perfect, or you have to watch what you say, or you can't just be honest with people. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what I just was like, when I started my YouTube, I'm like, I'm just going to be honest. What do I have to lose of being honest with people? Right?
No, that's the correct approach, man. And that, you know, that's, I'm going to have to go back and follow you and listen to your podcast, because it's how I approach everything.
Right. Like I said, I mean, I'm very blunt. I laugh. I make jokes. I do all kinds of stuff. I really appreciate following. That would be awesome. But that's how I am. And that's how I just take life is you just have to look at shit and go, no, this is wrong. You know, like, one guy told people that dogs don't sweat. And he's breeding dogs for 16 years. And he's charging $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 for a puppy. And he's telling people, and he calls himself the godfather of Dobermans. And they're giving themselves their names, you know, these old. And this is the thing I laugh at too. I'm like, listen, when you're starting to give yourself the accolades versus the dog, you realize the dog is doing the thing.
Right.
The dog gets the accolades. When you're starting to boast your ego, have the bravado, and then you're saying dogs don't sweat. So what I did was I put up the information that dogs do sweat. Like, you ever seen, you know, their feet, like you ever seen
the paws
prints, you know, like, you know, panning. They also have, you know, glands throughout their body. Like, dogs sweat. Like, who taught you this? So I make fun of these people.
Yeah, it's funny, the social media influencer thing. It's incredible how many people get followed, but what they don't go, they only go by what is on TikTok with them. You know, it's like if you actually Googled them. And what's interesting to me is like, well, that, you know, this whole Google, you know, media, online stuff, whatever, that's your world. Why don't you fucking try Googling someone's name one time, right? There you'll get their accolades right there, instead of just going, wow, they're on TikTok and have 1 million followers. Google their name, see what their accolades are. But then again, on top of that, they, you know, a lot of these young trainers are saying, I don't need to do performance work. Titles don't mean you're a good trainer. My clients tell me. So really, that's the standard, because you say is now the new status quo. Like, because you have clients, you're a good dog trainer.
Right.
Accolades mean nothing anymore. It's like, fuck, man, what world are we living in? It's like, no, the reason we have these competitions is so we can go, hey, Ivan, I'm better than you today, or blah, 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 or fuck. You understand what these fucking competitions are.
Right.
That's where us dog trainers, we step out onto the field and we show our fucking work.
Right.
Right? But it's like, it's getting crazier and crazier.
Right. Well, and that's the thing, like that guy that I told you, the godfather of Dobermans, his name's Gerald. And he has like 530 some thousand followers. And
wow.
Dogs don't sweat. Dogs don't sweat.
That's why in the recent years, I've backed off of I still have to be somewhat active on social media because I do have a business, but I'm not like I used to be. Matter of fact, my Instagram page for my dog stuff, up until a week ago where I had to advertise for a class I have coming up, I've not looked at my dog Instagram page for maybe months.
Yeah.
Literally months. Because I just backed out of it. I'm like, I'm not going to try to compete with Doberman Gerald, who's got 500 fucking thousand, who probably just sits like this all fucking day. There's his, dog training. I've got life to live, man. It was fun for a hot minute, and it helped my business, but y'all youngsters can have it. Doberman Gerald and Dog Daddy and all these fucks. Okay, that's all you, man. I got to make sure my fucking next 20 years of my life is not spent on TikTok, Instagram. I got shit to do.
Right.
I got skydiving to do. I got more bones I got to break. I got a lot of shit I got to do.
Right. Can you give me 1 second? You're like, I didn't have to go before then. Always on my lives, I'm like, give me 1 minute. I'll be right back. And I have a 2-story house, so I have to run clear of it. So, but yeah. That's what. So I make fun of these people, and people are like, "You have to be careful who you make fun of." Why? What are they going to do?
Right.
So anyway, this has been a great conversation. I really appreciate all spending the time with me and doing all this stuff. I do have a few more questions, if you don't mind. I know it's been 2 hours. Okay. So. All the dogs that you've trained, all the animals you've trained, has there ever been one that's humbled you that you're like, I'm not cut out for this? Or
100%.
questioned your abilities?
Yes. Years ago, it was probably around 2011. I was struggling finding a dog for a competition. I had just trained a dog to IGP1, who I thought was going to be my next competition dog. Honestly, he didn't turn out to being what I needed for top level. He went into a very nice family here in Austin with a doctor, great home for him. And I was searching for a new dog, and I had a client of mine who was also searching for a dog. This person, for lack of better words, was a high roller. So he goes, "Hey, Dave, let's fly to Germany, and everybody. Let's go find us." He wanted a dog, and he goes, "I'll buy you a dog." I mean, he'd still own it, right? But I'd be, that happens a lot in the dog world where somebody on paper will own the dog, but it'll be mine. So there was this dog, and I went to visit Werner Kiebernick is the gentleman's name, and he's a dog broker there. Gets very nice German Shepherds. And there was this, I kept hearing through the grapevine, there was this one black dog I needed to look at in his kennel. And I looked at that dog. We were over there. We went for the Bundesliga, and we visited Werner. And he got this dog out, and it was an incredibly masculine male. Even from a show, even though it was a working line, it would have been a V-rated dog because it just was so gorgeous looking. And, he told us a little bit about the dog, and I knew it was a very strong dog, not a nerve bag, a true dominant animal.
Right.
Was never going to cause a problem until you asked him to do something, right? And that's how true dominant animals are. They're not gonna start a problem, but they'll finish the problem.
Right.
So it was funny. We spent 2 days there. I worked the dog a number of times. I worked it in protection, tracking, obedience. And every time we worked the dog, Werner would say he'd kind of just open the door a little bit and go, oh, be careful about this one thing with him. Like, don't track him on a pinch collar. Make sure you track him on this special leash that I have. But he would never say why, right? I'm like, okay, whatever, fuck. And, I was a lot younger then. And I'm like, all right, man, let's get this. It was probably a $20,000 dog, but, and I'm like, fuck it, buy me the monster. I'm going to do it. I'm going to tame the beast, right? He had already been to IGP-1. We got him to the United States. And that dog, I ended up getting rid of the dog. We actually sold him to somebody. It was a single family, not a family, a wife and husband that just wanted a personal protection dog. But the reason we got rid of him was I could not. He was the most dominant animal that I ever, I'm telling you, and I don't use that word lightly.
Right.
You could line up 200 dogs in front of me. I go, no, none of those are dominant. That's in the eye of the beholder.
Right.
This dog was the top of the food chain. The top of the food chain. You had incredibly strong nerves, clear brain, incredibly good gripping dog, great prey drive, good food drive, good everything. But it wasn't that he couldn't be trained. He couldn't be trained to the level I needed him to be trained. I could have got Schutzhund 3, IGP 3 on him with a score of 245 or 250, but that's all he would give me because in his mind, he would do the work. He didn't have a ton of pack drive.
Okay.
He's like, I'm going to work for you out here, but it's not going to look flashy or pretty.
Right.
If a toy or food comes in the next minute, I'll look flashy or pretty. But when that food stops coming, I'm just going to go through the motions. And if you try to make me, I will kill you.
Oh, okay.
So, and I had a very good friend of mine, T. Floyd, who lives in New Jersey, one of the great IGP trainers in the United States ever, actually, good friend of mine. And I had a long talk about him with the dog. And T was one of my mentors, still is. And he said, David, the problem is with this dog is you like to train alone. You like to train a lot, which means you're alone a lot.
Right.
And you're going to get caught in trouble alone.
Right.
And he goes, this dog is never going to give you big points. Yes, he is the true, the top of the food chain. He's gorgeous. He's a beautiful dog, but you won't make points with him.
Right.
So, and he's a little dangerous if you're gone and your wife has to take him to the vet. He's a little dangerous with that. So he goes, I would not keep him. I would probably get rid of him to a different home. And I'm like, well, I'm going to try a little bit longer. And I trained him a little bit longer, and I was struggling with something on the tracking. And I was out tracking alone one morning. Thank God I had a big winter jacket on. Something happened where I had to use some punishment on the track, and he finally just said, enough is enough. He growled. He walked calmly back to me, bit me in the arm calmly, didn't bite, gripped me. There's difference between like da-da-da.
Right.
Gripped me like that with clear eyes. And I just sat there and I'm like, fuck, man. And I'm like, I'm going to be smart here. I'm not going to yell anything to him. I picked up a stick off the ground and teased him with it.
Right.
And said out and threw the stick. And with clear eyes, he let go of my arm and went for the stick.
Wow.
And I said, yeah, I can't do it. I either don't have the skill or it's not going to work. So that was one dog that humbled me a lot in my life.
Right. Wow. That's a great, I got goosebumps from it. That's a great story.
I'm telling you, when he had a grip, not like, it wasn't what people go, oh, was he attacking you? No, he was gripping me.
Right.
With clear eyes.
Right.
To the back of his throat. I had a long jacket, a lot of stuff on, so I just had a few little punctures underneath it. But when I saw the clarity of what he was doing, I said, you're not
fucking around.
No. And I love the dog. He was super cool. The problem was that it was when you would make him do something he didn't want to, he said, well, just so you understand, I have the upper hand.
Right.
But he wasn't a problem dog. He was a lovely dog. He was very clear. He was social. He was everything. Right. He was just like, and I'll do the work, but I'm not going to give you big points because that's not me. I'm not going to play any games for a cookie or a ball, even though I have a lot of ball drive and food drive. He goes, yeah, okay. If it's not coming, fuck it. I'll heal with you, but it ain't going to look pretty. And I respect that dog more than anything. And that was definitely not a dog, I would say, that had to be put down. He ended up living a great life, with a family that didn't make him do anything. It's like, if you don't make him do anything, he's a fucking angel.
That's a great story. Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. That's a great story. But that's a great story from a trainer's perspective too, because it gives you a lot of insight. And that's the stuff that I think John Q. Public or, just normal person that thinks they're a trainer don't understand how you could read the dog.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, a lot of my friends were like, why are you getting rid of him? I'm like, because he's only going to give me 240 points, 245 points.
Right.
270 is what gets you on a world team. I go, I can't do anything with that.
Right.
Not to mention, to get those 240 points, I may run into a snag with him at some point.
Right.
So, and it, they're like, oh, no, we can go work through it. I'm like, no, we're not. You're not seeing what this dog is, right? Like, let him let him live a better life doing something different.
Right, right. That brings me to another question of, do you think, or what is your thoughts on taking a bite from your own dog?
I work all my own dogs in protection.
So you take a bite from your own dog?
Oh God, yeah, all of them. But they're only working in prey drive.
Okay.
I don't work my dogs in defense. That's a whole nother topic.
Right.
For the younger generation, like to talk about aggression and defense, but I do all the foundation bite work on my dogs up until about a year and a half, until they get physically a little bigger, that my old broken body struggles with them. But I still give, like Hector's 6 years old, I still work him because they're worked in prey drive. Right. It's no different than if I give them the bite on this tug.
Right.
Or I give them the bite on a sleeve. Or I give them a bite on the suit. These are clear dogs working in prey drive. They're just playing tug of war with a bigger piece of equipment.
Okay. Okay.
But they're worked in prey. It's play drive, right? My dogs aren't worked in. If we're saying, do you work your dogs in civil aggression? No, absolutely not. Right.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to make a distinct difference there, because I watch all these people do that, and I'm always like, I would never take a bite from my own dog. I don't allow my husband to take a bite from our dogs. I just as a puppy and working it up, I think it's okay. But once you get to a certain stage, it's no longer okay. You know what I mean?
Once again, my dogs are worked in prey, so they're not viewing the biting as, oh, they're biting dad. Even when they're doing their performance in a trial, they're not thinking, oh, I'm going to bite you.
Right.
They're thinking, I want the prey item.
Right.
So it's a extravagant game of tug of war. So that's different than, and most people don't understand the differences in drive states and stuff like that. And I don't train my dogs in any type of defense or aggression. So.
Right. Okay. Well, the other question to that, the follow-up question to that was, is there a dog that you ever trained that gave you arrogance, that made you feel like, oh yes, I got this. I'm now a trainer. Not arrogance in the way of bravado or whatever, that you're like, yes, finally understand this. I've got this. I know that you went from agility to IPG and all that stuff. Was there ever a dog that made you, I know your first dog went champion right away, but like, was there ever a dog that made you go, I can do this?
Not really. I think every dog I train, I'm better, right? Which we should be. We should be. I look back at some of my competitions from like 2001. I'm like, oh my God, that's fucking horrible. Like, but and I'm like, well, that was like, well, you still went to a world championship, and I'm going, yeah, but that is gross. I can't even look at it. And every dog gets a little bit better, a little bit better. I never go. Here's the reason I never go, oh, I've arrived. Right. Because dogs will humble you and they will pull your fucking pants down when you least expect it.
Right. That's why I asked you the arrogance question.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very confident in my skill. Over 30 years, I have a good quote average of what I do, right? Like I'm successful. But even today, I fully understand going into a trial. The dog is an opportunistic creature, and they will embarrass you when you least expect it, right? All that does is make me train harder to make sure, do I have that covered, that covered, that covered, that covered, that covered? Right. Because they will humble you very quickly. And there's nobody out there at the top level that can say, oh, I'll never fail. We've all failed, and we all can fail tomorrow again.
Right. Did I ask you the question if there's any animal, fiction or real, that you could train today? What would it be? Like, like Avatar, there's like all those dragons.
Okay, no, yeah. So when I had my knee surgery and it was like, I'm just sitting there fucking watching TV all day for 3 months.
Right.
Like that animation, How to Train Your Dragon. I got fucking obsessed with that. Like, cause I think it's a 3-movie thing, or maybe it's 4. And I don't know. I got so obsessed with that, that it was just really fun and interesting to watch. But then again, I was watching a bunch of weird cartoons and animation at that point.
It's so funny. I wrote that down, and my husband said, I bet he's going to say Train Your Dragon.
Yeah. I was it's like I also used to be a reptile breeder a long time ago, many, many years ago, before I got into dog training. So I do enjoy reptiles as being a herb person, but I don't know. I should catch a little lizard around here and start seeing what I can do with it.
Right?
To be honest. Listen, it's all about just putting them under stimulus control, because we train the chickens. I even have a chicken. I used to do what we call chicken lab. It was taken off of Bob Bailey's chicken classes that he did, where we have students learn how to train the chickens. It teaches them how to use a clicker and blah, 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 indirect reward. I'm actually doing a seminar later this summer with the chickens up in Dallas. But if we can do it with a chicken, I could do it with a reptile.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, because you can train like bearded dragons to do weird things. So you should train them to go out and get like mushrooms or something.
Yeah, I mean, not like I have these videos of me doing like some target training with the goats, and everybody's going, "Oh my God, it's so amazing!" I'm just going, "No, it's fucking not. That's Thursday night up with 2 IPAs. I'm just goofing around. I'm not even doing anything."
Right.
So yeah, I like to demystify dog training where people like to mystify it.
Right.
I go, no, it's easy. Just blah, 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 blah. But it would be fun messing around with a bearded dragon or the question is, do I feel like getting one? Because I do have to take care of it and keep it alive, right?
Like your wife has horses, right?
Horses and Nigerian goats, dwarf goats.
Have you ever trained a horse to do like weird things? Like, because you can.
No, I was instructed early on: do not go by the horses.
Right, do not go by the horses.
Even though I built a BMX track back there next to the horses, and I'm allowed to go pet them over the fence and give them carrots. That's what I'm allowed to do. Because one time she had a young female, a mare named Twist, who was just, woo, she was fire, man. Real fucking fire. She was going to be Karen's next barrel racing horse.
Oh, okay.
She turned out to be a little too much fire.
Okay.
Sweet horse. But just like, strong-willed mare, like strong-willed German Shepherd and Malinois.
Right.
And she always said, do not ever fucking go into the stall and give her food.
Right.
I'm like, well, why? What the fuck? And she loves me. You know, she goes, dude, you don't understand. She's going to fucking pin you in there. And then you're not going to get out. And she's going to get really pushy about the food. And I didn't listen to her. And one time I did. And it was a little bit scary.
Right.
I mean, I got out of it being patient and smart.
Right.
But after that, I'm like, no, all I'm going to do is go back to I pet him over the fence and give him carrots. That's where it ends with me.
That's funny.
I mean, I really should. I'd love to ride him more. I'd love to do a lot of stuff. I'd like to mess with the goats more. There's only so many hours in a day, and I'm doing a pretty good job of filling all 24 up right now.
Right. I mean, you do 4 hours of drumming, so, So what is it about taking care of I know in the morning you take care of your dogs first, like your personal dogs, mm-hmm. right? Always. That's like mandatory thing for you, right? So
yeah. So, I mean, once again, we don't have board and trains anymore, but regardless, I have other work, clients in the morning, especially in the summer times. We have to do it hot when it's earlier for the heat. But, I got into all this for the love of training my dogs.
Right.
And when I stop wanting to train my dogs is probably the day I'll stop doing this for a living.
Right.
Because I needed to make it where, okay, I need to be able to find the time where I'm with my dogs. If I do it from home or even if I work for somebody and I can bring my dogs with me, I will get up extra early and they're going to be worked first when my head is the clearest. Sorry, clients, that's how it's going to be because that's why I got into this. Right. So I've stuck to that my whole life. They get taken care of first and they get worked first in the morning.
Right.
That's when my head is the clearest. Right.
Right.
And then we go for there. And it's very important to me that I do it that way. Because a lot of trainers say, I just don't have the time anymore.
Right.
Like, well, you have the time. You just choose not to utilize it the way, or it's not that important to you what you do with your performance dogs, which is fine. Everybody does not have to go to 14 world championships in their life.
Right.
That's not required. But if you do, if that is your goal, let me explain to you how you do it.
Right.
It may not be so fun for you, but.
Well, yeah, not everyone's going to go to one in one country, come back in 24 hours, drop off a dog, pick another one up and go to another country.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all that people I think you understand what that takes. Right. Most people have no clue what that takes.
Well, like I told you, when I wrote you and I said, when you asked what time, if the time was okay. And I said, yeah, that's fine. Cause I get up at 5:30 every morning. I get up at 5:30, 7 days a week, 5:30 every morning.
Yeah. I don't use an alarm clock or anything. That's it.
Yep. I get up at 5:30 every morning. And the reason I do that is because I have 2 dogs that work every morning and they know that they work. They get up, they wake up, they put their paw on me. They're like, okay, it's time to get up. We're going outside. Get your ass out of bed.
And a lot of people, when they need something from me, whether this 9 o'clock, you said, some people will go, oh, are you a late sleeper? I'm like, no, I've got shit I'm doing.
Right.
And believe me, I've been up for 3.5 hours already doing shit, right? I'm probably ready for lunch at 9 o'clock. I've done a lot of shit by 9 o'clock. It has already happened. But it's time management. And once again, focusing on what you want to do. I just don't think at the highest level of anything we do, it don't matter if it's dogs, anything, sports, music, club, whatever. There's a lot of sacrifice that has to happen.
Right.
A lot.
Well,
And I don't think a lot of people really understand that.
right. Well, and you have to have priorities, right? The things that you want. I think that's why it pains me to see some of this stuff, when you see people just turning over dogs. I think that's why that clip really, I was like, when I seen that, I was like, oh man, that's for me, that's my thing. No matter if I bred, no matter what, all my dogs live with me. If I was done breeding my bitches, I bred my bitches 3 times, but people are like, okay, so now what? Or like, are they for sale now or not? What do you mean, are they for sale? Just because I got 3 litters out of my bitches or whatever does not mean that they're off and they're gone. They're a part of my life. They're a part of my family. I mean, all this stuff. I mean, like my husband and my dogs are my life. Period. Like they stay here forever. So when I watched that, I was like, there was a kindred spirit, I think. And I was like, oh yeah. And then I seen your Gen X one. I was like, oh hell yeah. I love that. That's me. Yep. I love comedy and I'm a Gen Xer. That's how I feel. Fuck with that guy.
No, this has been a lovely conversation. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, I did too. I really love it. So there's only I only have 2 more questions. So what animal have you ever seen it? Like I said, I love animals. So is there any animal on earth that has ever given you goosebumps just by its pure presence?
Well, that shepherd that I spoke of that I had that we bought, that one you look at and you're just like, woo, you just go, he's the fucking, the top of the food chain. From that, there've been a couple horses that I've seen.
Yeah.
Or some race horses that I look at and I'm like, whoa, like that is a stunning animal. There's probably been, I've seen a lot of different animals in my life, especially working with them. But those are the 2 things, a couple race horses that just kind of took me back, and I get a little goosebumps. I'm going, that is a fucking specimen right there.
Right.
Same with that German Shepherd that humbled me a lot in my training. That dog you look at and you go, yeah, that's a specimen for real right there. And not when I say dominant, not in a bad way. Right. We go, yeah, he's top of the food chain.
Right.
And he knows he is too.
Yeah. I say that all the time about animals. But yeah, I do that too. I have a tattoo on my arm that is of Frederick the Great. He's a Percheron. He's a Percheron horse. And when first time I ever seen him, I just stood there. It's just one of those animals that you just stand there and just go, oh my God. I mean, it just takes your breath away. It's just like, you can't help but just stare in awe. Like you're just like, oh my God, So, and then, so for the everyday owner, the normal person watching, I have 2 screens, so it's not like I'm not looking at you. Well, I have many screens, but what do you offer them? I'm going to put up your link, your page and all that stuff. I'm going to drop all that down, but just because we didn't really do an introduction, because I don't think you need an introduction. I mean, for fuck's sake, Dave, your name speaks for itself. But what do you offer just the normal person that's can come find you, that needs help, that isn't looking for the look at me TikTok bullshit, all that?
Are you talking about services?
Yeah, services.
Yeah.
Anything that they can.
Okay. So like, once again, and I joke about it, but I'm not joking about it. Like I'm hoping to retire soon, whatever that means. Self-employed people do not retire. So very often. But the services that we offer, I offer private lessons. They're $150 for an hour, which I think is very fair considering there's people with much less experience than me charging $250 an hour.
Right.
And that can be, regular pet companion obedience. My lessons are during the week, normally between 9 in the morning and noon. If you really need a different time, I can figure out when to do that. I do virtual, same thing with virtual lessons. or virtual consulting, $150. You just can contact me through Facebook. Now, my website, I hardly talk about anything at all. DaveKroyer.com. I do have a website if you're into performance type of work. There's over 600 videos, and it's growing constantly. It's very interesting. It's a lot of insight of how I train certain behaviors. There's not much or anything on there about giving dogs corrections, because I don't feel that that's information I should be giving to people that I'm not coaching in front of me, right? Like telling people how to use a pinch collar or an e-collar. That's like saying, here's a gun, go ahead and use it however you want. I do use those tools, but you need to be in front of me while we're using them. Right. But it's very performance oriented. It's all the sports that I do: dock diving, AKC obedience, nose work, IGP, Mondial ring, French ring, anything that you can think of, talking a lot about theory. There you have it up on the screen. Yeah. There's a million videos up there.
Right.
It's $9.99 a month. Everyone's been yelling at me for years. Even Larry Crone's like, Dave, you got to raise the price of that. And I'm just like, no, I'd rather be poor and honest than, be a poor and honest and be a charlatan or used car salesman. Of course, yeah, I keep telling my wife we need to fucking make it $10.99, but it's a great deal if you're getting into sport work and understanding a lot of different stuff. There's all my accomplishments. I probably stopped updating it in 2019.
Right. I mean, like I said, your name speaks for itself, and like that's why I said I'm not going to sit here for an hour and introduce you. I mean,
no, that's boring.
People can absolutely Google you. I mean, just type your name in Google and all your shit comes up. But yeah, no, I wanted to give them, and I'll link all this in.
By the way, it does say board and train on my services. We need to take that away. Well, yeah, the service is not always available. We leave it up there just in case.
Right. In case you
okay. So my wife did, I don't even know this. She did raise the price to $2,000 a week. That's because we don't want to do it.
Right.
Everything that it says there, we leave the crack open just in case it's something that we would do, but we try to discourage people. That's why we say it's not even hardly available.
Right. Yeah. So these are all, and then you do seminars.
I don't even do many seminars. We were to a point where I was on an airplane every weekend traveling around the world. When COVID hit and I didn't have to travel, I'm like, oh, I like not traveling.
Right.
So I, most of what I do is private lessons. We are starting to do some virtual classes for performance work. Like I started tracking one this week, but that's all very specialized training. It has nothing to do with pet companion stuff.
Right. But that's good if somebody wants to get into tracking and stuff like that. I know that like the search and rescue and all that kind of stuff. I mean, you offer so much on here. I just wanted to give people, a way that they can come look at your videos. I know that you do offer free videos. Let me go to the.
Angie, have you ever seen my video? It's a free video. I used to do these free video Fridays on resource guarding.
Oh, no.
Okay, that video is my masterpiece, and you don't have to watch it right now.
Okay.
It's about a 2 to 3 minute video about resource guarding. You are going to watch that video, and you won't be able to stop laughing. I shouldn't even have told you that.
Okay. I'll actually do a live on it. I'll watch it live, make everybody else laugh. Yeah. That'll be awesome.
It is literally my fucking masterpiece video.
Okay. All right, I'll watch it. I'll do a live on it. I'll be like, Dave told me to watch this. But yeah, but you offer so much stuff, and I'll link all this on there and have everybody go look at it, because I think what you offer is just amazing. I mean, you have free videos, you have all this stuff, you have so many accolades, and I think it's so much better than these bullshit YouTube things that all these people should not be looking at. And it really helps people. Like I said, you can do it. And that's what I told people, even on my lives. Honestly, with the phone today, you can do virtual calls with people. You don't have to go to these people that have nothing, that can't offer nothing. $7,000 for a fucking board and phone, and your dog can't even sit. I can get your dog to sit in 2 minutes. Come on.
It's crazy, man. It's the Wild West out there.
Right? So, and like you said, $10, I don't care if it's $19.99. Shit, people are paying for AI for this bullshit to put up, for YouTube not shorts, but YouTube thumbnails. They're paying $19.99 for thumbnails. You can pay $19.99 to get all this information. So, you're 100% worth it. I watched Larry's interview with you 4 years ago, and he was falling over backwards, and Larry's a good trainer. So for him to fall over backwards over your shit, it's well worth it. And I wanted to put that information out there, definitely for people to go to and stuff like that. So I know that I said I wouldn't, give you all the accolades, but I have to give you a little bit,
And you do have to do a reaction video on the video called Resource Guarding. You just search for it on the website. And then you need to send me, when you do the react, I need to see the link.
I'll send it to you.
I shouldn't even told you anything. I should have said, do a reaction video on that.
I will. Okay, one last question. So of all the people that who do you think my next interview should be with? Because how you know me, I want to do more interviews with people. But as you know me now talking, because this is the first time we ever met, who do you think would be a good person to interview that would be okay to interview for me?
Let me think here. Do you want it? What venue do you want them from? A sport venue or just anything?
Doesn't matter. Just getting information out there to people that is going to have a good sit down conversation that can bring information like we did to, and a good conversation. I just want to do dog talk, kind of like what we did, where it's a little bit of dog talk, a little bit of everything, but just open, honest, roundabout everything.
You know, if you could get Susan Garrett,
okay,
she may not go off on so many extreme. She's not going to talk about skydiving too much or anything like that. I don't know. Let me get back to you on that, because it would take me a minute to think. Like Susan would be great, but let me think about somebody who it's just not dog stuff. Right. I have to think more about that. I'll get back to you on that.
Okay. And then I'm going to obviously put this up. Do you care if I'm not going to cut up a whole lot of it, because I'm very blunt and honest, and I want to just put it up live?
Don't cut out anything. Cut out your potty break. That's it.
That's it. That's all I'm going to
leave everything else in.
That's all I'm going to do. And then if people have a bunch of questions and all that stuff, would you be willing to come back for a live
100%.
video? Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think that's all I have for you. And is there any questions that you have for me that you would like?
No. I want to thank you for having me as a guest. This was a very nice conversation, kind of better than the typical ones that I have about what you're feeling on the e-collar or this or the prep. Like, I don't fucking, what do you, I don't know, right. This was nice. I enjoyed it. I like your format. I'm going to start following you, and hopefully you'll have me back.
Oh, definitely. I will have you back anytime that you're available and you want to come back and say, hey, feeling like doing it, just send me a message and we will set it up for sure. If I get a bunch of questions and all that stuff, I'll let you know. I'm not going to tell you what they are, because we'll just kind of go
never want to know. I like just to do stuff.
Yeah, we'll kind of just go off the cuff, but I'll be like, hey, got a bunch of questions. How about doing a live? So All right. Well, I appreciate you so much for coming on, and I will see you next time then.
Well, thank you for having me, and have a great afternoon.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Man, club just a system, but the deck's set to fail. You speak for transparency, they call it a crime. Next day, you suspended for 6 months of your time. Pedigree, politics, trophies on the wall. Vanity awards, while the ethics take a fall. They say it's for the free, but we know what it is. Power in the clubhouse, silence in the pit. Pedigree, politics, ribbons and lies. Smiles at the banquet, but the truth in disguise. You can muzzle the voice, but the truth don't quit. Dog show, kingdom built on counterfeit grit.